Seriously, I hate doing it every single time. Every single time. And Tsuna just there grinning like, hey.
You need to do it.
Nah. I mean, yeah, you can do. Nah. I'll probably just use this as the intro. I might just use this as the intro and just go through it from there. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Set 6. And today I've got some special guests over here, and we're going to be talking about a little thing that you might have heard of called Echo S, Echo S VII, Echo S in general, all of the Echo S. So, right here, I've got the two big guys. I've got Tsuna, and I've got the official crane, not the unofficial crane. We've got the actual official crane. That unofficial one, not that good. Don't talk to him. But yeah, I mean, how's it going, guys?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Got my fire lit, you know.
It looks toasty. It looks real toasty. How much heat does it kick out?
I don't know. I'd have to look at the text. Some.
Just kind of get real close to it like this. It's not much. It's not much. And how are you doing today, Crane? Sorry, the official Crane.
Yes, you know, because there's a lot of like these fake ass cranes like in zoos and shit. But no, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's funny because this little interview is kind of like a good excuse for me to stop working.
This is officially slowing down the process on all Echo S products right now.
Yes, but it's also been therapeutic for my sanity. So
it's like a mental health break.
Yeah, it's an excuse. If you ever worked in a factory and they're just like, hey, can you go check something out? Yes, I will. 30 minutes, is that okay if I go check something out?
Yeah, I'll just go check the smoking area. Make sure nobody's out there.
Yeah. Definitely check that area out. I won't be napping or anything like that. No, there'll be no naps involved or anything.
No.
Never.
Who can nap for 15 minutes? Who can do that?
I know. Could you imagine? Belly nod off.
I mean,
shit. What's going on?
At all. I'll set an alarm for half an hour and sleep for 10.
Yeah, 100%. These things called "I'll have a quick sleep." No, they're not real. They're not real.
No, definitely not.
And if it happens, I'm pretty much ineffective for the duration of that day anyway. After that, so nothing's getting done.
Tired.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I've slept. How?
No, if you work in an office, a 15-minute nap is probably the norm. With your eyes open, in fact.
Just get the contraptions from, get the little eye contraptions from Clockwork Orange. Just like, yes, I'm awake. Wide awake. Oh, just a little tear. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little chat about Echo S. Now, we've done the Big 7 before. We were talking about Remake and Final Fantasy VII and, you know, the franchise in general. But today, this special episode, we're going to be talking about... it's kind of a labour of love, I think I'd describe it as. I think that's probably the best way to describe it, because these crazy guys, these absolute madmen, have gone to the gargantuan task of not only voice modding. I mean, I'll let you guys explain it. What is Echo S VII? Just in the broadest terms.
A voice mod. I don't even really think much more than that's technically necessary. Sure, it has some other optional features like a day and night system and a weather system and a calendar system, auto text, you know. But they're all optional, you know. If you want to play it and just have voice acting in your game, you absolutely can. So, yeah.
Which is kind of the experience I'm doing at the minute, because like, you've not fully implemented like the weather and the day and night cycles and things like that, because they're kind of extra things on top of what you're going for. So I get that the target is, you know, get the voice mod fully completed first, and
we found a new way to do it. So I'm waiting on that part to be done, because currently it's only in fields.
Yeah.
And you know, nobody's complained about that's played the demos or anything so far, but it's going to be cooler that it can rain in battles and on the world map and be dark in battles and stuff too. And it's going to be so much cooler. So I'm gonna wait on that.
Yeah,
it also made the mod a lot smaller, because I used to have 5 different packs of FMVs for depending on what time of day it was, so that it would remain consistent.
Oh.
That increased the mod by about 5 gigabytes. We don't have that problem anymore, so...
So what does it do now? Just kind of overlay on top of the scene itself? Yeah, that is a lot. Wow, I didn't even think about that, yeah.
It's because we own the driver that runs the game now as well, so, you know, we can just overlay a screen over the top, add that to the color depth, and it works. And the rain will be the same way, so... Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. We're going to get an effect like Crane's got going on behind him at any stage.
Mm-hmm. Like this.
Get the full underwater battle system going. You see
I don't know
Whacker
where
just
that
swim
was.
past.
I'd love to have like snow and stuff though. Like we have thunder already, and you can get high winds, but like rain's the only visual one for the time being.
Yeah.
It'd be real nice to have like a few more.
Well, you've got the thunder as well, haven't you, when that comes in, I suppose.
Yeah, we do have the thunder
Yeah.
too, yeah. It's
No,
very
it's
brief,
good.
though.
Yeah, flash.
Yeah.
But it's still good. It's still good. It's impressive the amount that you've actually been able to do, but you know, as like a team, as far as getting into Final Fantasy VII and changing and tweaking things. It's crazy. I wouldn't have even
absolutely.
considered it. I wouldn't have even considered
like,
it.
It's weird for me to just think that we managed to create time.
Yeah.
Like that in itself is a weird sentence.
We are gods.
But with this new system too, like with the like if it's raining and if you happen to be using the lighting engine that's in there as well with the FFNX, if it's raining, I can have the materials of everything, like the 3D models and stuff, change, so you'll actually look wet when it rains, which is going to be really cool. And based on the time of day, I can have the actual light source on the scene like move, so your shadow will change direction, but based on like where in the sky the sun is.
Yeah.
And like the brightness of your shadow, you know, if it's broad daylight, it's going to be a solid black shadow, and then if it's nighttime, it'll be a lot dimmer because there's not as much light. You know.
Oh, so there's a massive amount of additional stuff then that you're looking at working into the mod at some point.
Yeah, it probably won't be in until like 1.1 patch or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, I like it. I like it. So let's get up. I suppose we'll get straight into the questions then. And the first one is, like, how did this even happen? Like, how did you two come together and kind of decide, like, right, this is what we're going to do. This is it. This is the journey now. For how many years has it been?
6? For me, at least. I think with Crane is 2.
2 years for me, yeah.
Yeah.
So how did this happen then? How did Crane end up becoming a part of it? How did you end up starting on this journey? Like, what went down?
So.
All right, so all you. Let's take that.
Okay. So we both have like, you know, we'll both have our own side of the story a little bit. But yeah, I started Echo S like 6 or 7 years ago, and I only started it because I had the ability to. You know, I had the technical ability to do it. I didn't actually have the skills to do it in any way. You know, I'm not a director or a voice actor. I didn't know anybody. I had no contacts. But, you know, I was just doing it anyway. And I was proud of what I had at the time, but it was really slow because it was just me.
Yeah.
Our voice actors weren't great because I didn't have any talent scouting. I didn't know voice acting, so I didn't.
Yeah,
I
you've
couldn't judge a good
networked a
voice
lot
actor in
more.
that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there came a time where I needed a new actor for Barrett because my current one was in the, like he was an actor and he made it big in Hawaii, so he had to quit, unfortunately.
Nice.
So I had to get well, fortunately now, unfortunately at the time.
Yeah, at the time you were like, damn it.
So I needed to find a new Barrett, and the way that I did that was I went on to websites like Voices123, Casting Call Club, and I was looking at other people that had sent auditions in for any other project that sounded like Barrett. Didn't find anybody worthwhile, so I went onto YouTube and I just typed in like Barrett voice stuff, and I came across one of Crane's videos where he was just voicing every male character in Final Fantasy VII and Advent Children. Basically every male character. And nailing them all, might I say.
That's what
But
Crane
I
does.
heard his Barrett, and I was like, okay, this Barrett's unbelievable. I want this Barrett. And luckily for me, on the About tab of his YouTube page, there is a button that says, for business email. So I clicked that, verified I was a human, got his business email, and I was like, all right, this guy's very professional sounding. I don't know if he'll ever reply to me, but if you don't try, you don't get, right?
Yeah.
So I sent the email. I can't even remember what the email said anymore, but I explained about Echo S and what we were doing and stuff. And he got back to me and he was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And he applied for Barrett and got the Barrett position, and then things progressed from there. And yeah, so after that, there was, you know, a lot of stuff. You know, he ended up becoming Cloud and then becoming the director and stuff as well. But I'll let Crane go through that part because his side of that story will be a lot more interesting than mine.
Yeah, so you were already doing... So you were essentially already doing this before
Yeah.
you'd come across Tsuna.
I already had a
Crane.
demo out, actually, at that point with my original voice actors up to Airbuster.
Yeah.
I think Death Unites has played it.
Oh,
Like, he still has a video up on YouTube of it, so you can really see the before and after of Crane.
I still need to get that guy on here. I definitely still need to get that guy on here. I'm going to make that happen soon.
It would be cool.
Yeah, I'm going to make that happen. So yeah, Crane. So you were already doing the Final Fantasy VII characters before this, then?
Well, okay,
Ish.
so with the voice acting, I've always done voice acting like as
Yeah.
a hobby, right? And it's okay. So a little bit of context is that there used to be this site called the Voice Acting Alliance, the VAA for short, and that's where a lot of people would do like fandom projects and all of that. And obviously, the biggest ones were always, oh, we're gonna do a full fandom of this, we're gonna do a full fandom of that, and that sort of gets a lot of people jaded because they do like one episode and then they're done.
Yeah.
Because it's always easy, and then when you start, you realize I can't.
Oh,
really
this is
do
going
this
to be a
anymore.
lot. Yeah.
This is a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
And they always underestimate that shit. And so I've always done my own shit. Like even the group that because essentially this is a collaboration between like Tsunamods and like Studio Still, and he contacted me one day. I was very wary about this because this wasn't the first time somebody has ever come up to me and said, we're going to make a full voice mod of a game. Do you want to do it? But I think the very first one was FF8. Yeah, somebody came up to me for FF8 and I was going to be their Squall. And I was like, of course I'm going to do fucking Squall, of course. But then I realized really quickly that it wasn't going to
It didn't have the legs.
So,
Yeah.
So I was already very, very skeptical, and I did not want to waste my time. So when he did that, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was like, no way, this guy's actually gonna do this shit. But the one thing that really like pushed me over the edge to do it was when I found out that the title of the project was called Echo S, and I'm just like, Echo Screen, you clever bastard, because you cure silence. That's fucking clever. Okay, you know what? Let's try it. Let's do this. so yeah, that's really what got me into it. And then I just voiced Barrett for him. The project was really weird too because at the start he cast me, right, and he was just like, okay, here's the script for all the way up to Airbuster, and I finished it in like a couple of days, right? Something along those lines. Like I did it really quick. And Tsuna was like, oh shit, you did it already. And I'm just like, already? Is this not normal? And like, what is going on here? And and sort of this things sort of happened from there. Tsuna, you can take over when you decided to have me.
So is that kind of where you started having a little bit of input then on like, oh right, well maybe we could like speed things up a little bit potentially with people?
No, actually, no, I really did not talk to him much about like.
Yeah, I found all that stuff out on my own.
Yeah.
That was a fun learning process.
Yeah. It's still crazy to me to think that Echo S is only as good as it is because my ability to name the project well.
It is. No,
If I'd have just named it the FF7 voice mod, none of this would have happened.
No, but it just goes to show that good branding and a good name can be just as important as the amount of effort that you put into it, because it's got to, not only has it got to be memorable, but it's got to, especially with this, it's got to kind of inspire a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of got to get people on board, and it definitely does. It's catchy, it's smooth, it's good, it's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fact that you put a brand on it. Okay, so just so that we're not reducing this to, the name is nice, so therefore I do it because it makes both of us look bad. But it's kind of like when you see a project that is named, like where there's a lot of care. Because the thing is, I didn't really see if the project had a lot of care or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, just looking at because I didn't even do a lot of research at the time. He just sent me the email and just like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then I saw Echo S, and I'm just like, and obviously Tsunamods and all of that stuff. And I'm just like, you know what? He sounds like a modder, right?
He's got his shit together. Yeah.
And he sounds like a brand. So I said, you know what? Like, I much more am looking forward to working with somebody who's modding the thing to put voices rather than a voice actor trying to put things together.
Yeah.
So I was very like, and again, like I think that shows like a good level of care. And when you try to brand something, then that means that you obviously give a shit about it. That's how I see it, at least. And I you know, a lot of I'm pretty much sure that Silicon Valley believes the same thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, try to do a startup and then your name and like the name of the product sucks. Even if the product is cool, no one's gonna buy it because the
Company
name of the
A.
product sucks. Yeah, it's just weird. You know, so I mean, technically, we wouldn't have Apple products if it wasn't called Apple. You know, so
True.
There you go.
think of it that way. So yeah, so that's just so that we both don't look like stooges, right?
Yeah. Whenever I was surprised about getting like the entirety of Crane's lines back for Barrett in like 2 days, it was like a huge surprise for me because all of the actors I had at the time, I'd say only maybe one of them were actually had any experience in acting. The rest of them I just deemed sounded remotely similar or could be accepted as the voice, like when compared to like the movie and stuff, because that's all I had to base it on at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would take them possibly 2-3 months to get me a couple of screens worth of lines, and I wasn't even in a position to complain. You know,
you were just like, yes, thank you, nice.
Yeah, it was a new brand, so I was like, I can't be like, you're too slow. And you know, bear in mind, these people aren't paid either, so I was like, I can't really push this. I learned way after that you absolutely can push people that have volunteered to do something for you for free, because you know it's a mutual respect between each other trying to get something done. At the time, I didn't really understand any of that. But things were taking forever because I was the only person doing it. And what's kind of funny about this too is that I've sort of seesawed between my opinion on this, because when I started it on my own, things took forever. Like I had to, at the time, I had to write down all the script by hand, play the game, write down every text box, send it out to the actors, wait months for them to give it back, edit everything myself, and then put the lines in myself. Naturally, it's a long-ass process.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is taking way too long. I need to start getting some of the other Tsunamods managers involved, and they can help me. So I got 2 people to help me start scripting. They were not fast at all. I did it faster myself.
Yeah.
But, you know, I tried branching out. I tried getting people to help me code it and whatever. And it turned out I was faster than all of them combined. I could still do it faster on my own than having 6 people working on all these different parts individually.
And not only that, you've got control as well at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of broke my faith in having other people help me with something, because you know the typical saying that everyone says, if you want something to do it right, do it yourself.
Do it yourself, yeah.
Which isn't good words to live by, really. They have legs, but I wouldn't live by them. And then when I brought Crane in, I started like I was seeing the talent levels coming through Crane's voice acting, and when I researched Crane, because I already had his YouTube channel because that was where I found him, and I heard all the other stuff and projects and stuff that he was doing and working on, and I noticed that he was also like a pretty good director. So I asked him then, would you like to be the director of this stuff? Because A, if you're doing that, I can spend more time doing this other stuff.
Yeah.
And B, the project is going to turn out better quality if you are the one heading the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think for the first 3 days, Crane was like doing his best to get me to not want him to do it. It was like, oh, you don't want to make that move.
Oh, don't do it, man.
No, you don't want me to be the director. Everything will change too much. You won't like it. You know, it's a bad idea. And I stuck to my guns. I was like, no, I want you to do all of this.
Please.
Like, if you're sure, like, sounds like a bad idea, but if you're sure. And then eventually, when he worked out I wasn't going to give up. And he was like, right, well, my first order of business is I'm firing everyone.
Wait, what?
And I was like, oh.
I pulled an Elon, essentially. I was like,
Yeah.
Not sooner. You didn't fire. No, right, cool.
So I was a little skeptical about it at first, but we came to this agreement where I had 2 voice actors at the time. I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick my name on these 2 people. I want you can fire everybody, do what you want, but I want you to give these 2 people a chance in your next audition lineups. One of them is still here today, which I'm super proud of. That being Iris, our voice actress for Yuffie.
For Yuffie, yeah.
Nice.
My other one was Aerith. She ended up leaving for reasons.
Yeah.
But I was happy that somebody I had originally cast didn't understand talent levels or anything, put my name on. I was like, I'm rooting for you. You're my horse in this race.
And they made it.
And she's still here today. I was like super happy about that.
Also, they must be like the longest serving voice actor on the project then.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I think Iris is, yeah.
Which kind of leads into the next thing that I wanted to ask. So with Echo S VII, it does feature a massive, like, diverse range of people. You've got people that have done voice acting before, like Crane and like assorted others that you've got, and then you've got people doing NPCs that are like complete novices and who were just essentially members of chat who wanted to be involved in the game, which I think is amazing.
Sure, a voice for Vincent and Red 13 were complete novices and had never voiced anything before either.
There we go. See, I love that. What was it like bringing all of these voices together into one game? Like, what was the process like of getting everyone together and getting everyone's? Because I'm assuming like people will have had different standards of microphone. Some people will have come into it not having the slightest clue how to do any of this, and then you've got other people that are just like, yeah, cool, I'll smash it out, no problem. Like Crane comes in and just like, yeah, done. What?
So for me, at least, it wasn't that big of a deal. When I was working on Echo S as the editor and everything, I didn't edit anything. I just took out background noise because that's all I knew how to do. So I didn't really even consider it that much. But it was definitely interesting because whenever I first started Echo S, we were in Skype. There was no Discord. Well, it might have existed, but I hadn't heard of it at least.
Skype.
And, you know, it was very awkward, but it was cool to get to meet new people, and you know that started my career off basically being a streamer and stuff and building a little audience. Crane's side of that's going to be very different as somebody who actually does edit lines and walk through people's directing and understanding the skill levels and what was necessary. But,
yeah. So Crane, how was it for you? What was it like bringing everything together? Give us the journey. Give us the journey. Like taking someone from just sat in chat like, yeah, I'll do a line, to actually getting them to record a line and getting it into the game. Like, what's that like?
Okay, so I have a very different take on this because when I first started the project, when I first got on the project, I was supposed to do every character that was named.
Yeah.
Right. So all the NPCs was supposed to be still sort of like in Tsuna's hands, right? Like or Uprisen or somebody at the time. It was just part of the team, so it wasn't really part of my responsibility to do that. And I already had big questions about it because I was telling Tsuna like, look, this big difference in quality it's going to be jarring, right? Like, you know, when you do a project like this, when you're doing remote and you're doing it free and all of that stuff, one of the first things that you have to sort of decide upon is sort of like the level of analysis of how deep you want to go into quality.
Yeah, where do you want to bring the line to, essentially?
Because it just has to file up in that range, right? And then everything else you can maybe think like it's workable or whatever and all of that stuff, right? And sort of decided that, okay, so you know, this level of audio is going to be okay, all of that stuff. It was funny too because if I'm allowed to talk about this, but we've had people like people who and I was looking at Tsuna, I was like, Tsuna?
No, don't look at Tsuna, that's fine.
Until I know what it is, I can't tell you not to talk about it.
No, well, there were people who wanted to come. There were a lot of people who actually came in and they're just like, hey, can we do like audio editing or audio engineering for you, blah 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, sure, cool, yeah, maybe. I was still very skeptical of it, but I know Tsuna at the time, he was like, I'm blaming you, Tsuna.
Part of my journey
like,
about going up and down with having a team that you can rely on.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, well, it's going to be more helpful, right? Blah, blah, blah. And what happened was exactly what you experienced, which was it took them longer to do it. And then they were much more, their level of analysis was a lot higher, right? Where they're like, oh, yeah, well, we needed to make it sound like this. Oh, this reverb effect doesn't fit this room because the room is wide and blah, blah, blah. And you know what the reality is that I first of all, the audience is not really going to give a shit, right?
Yep.
Too much about it. Like, I don't think you've went through the game and, you know, like there are many places where you're like, oh, the echo sounds weird here. Like it's not right.
I can honestly say that's probably words I've never said while playing a game ever.
Okay, cool. Then, you know, like, and you know, I remember we had one editor, and the thing is, the point is like they're way better than I am in editing, and that actually became a problem
because they were setting a higher bar.
Yes, and they cared way too much about stuff, and we weren't able to just move on.
Which then meant they took forever to do something that you're right.
It took very, very, very long.
The quality level would have turned out better, but it's like that. You know, before we started recording, we were talking about diminishing returns with the microphone.
Yep.
with Crane's editing, everyone's going to be like, they'll notice it, like, oh, it's really cool. You've got environmental effects. Everything sounds clean. And then you have their level, which, you know, might be 20% higher, but you don't notice that 20% so much.
Yeah, they might notice 1% higher than they do with Crane, but is that really, earphone, is that really
that
worth it?
Probably added a full year onto
Exactly, yeah.
the development time.
Yeah, and that was sort of like what it was. So just dealing with all these different microphones and all that stuff, like it all became about what made it decent, right? Like as long as the standard was, if it wasn't jarring, then it's good.
Yeah.
And you know, and I think for a game like Final Fantasy VII, like we had to take different approaches to how we even cast for this, because like it's not something that we have sort of the liberty to for things that are highly cinematic. Like me and Tsuna, we talked a lot. I was trying to like educate Tsuna on this, like when we first took on the project, where the main cast for games like this, probably 7, 8, 9, like FF7, 8, and 9, is that, you know, because they don't have lip flaps and all of that stuff, and it's just text boxes jumping up and down, and, you know, they have a little bit of a animation, a body animation. But for the most part, if you have main characters who are in a room together and some of them sound similar, then you're going to get confused who's talking, right?
Right.
And it's things like that, you know, we have to consider that you wouldn't have to consider with like FF7 Remake, right? Because if you have something like FF7 Remake where everyone has like facial expressions and camera angles, it's like, even if you put a weird voice on a character, or
you
if
know
two
it's coming
characters
from
had
them.
two completely different characters but had the exact same voice actor, or, you know, you would be like, well, the voice is coming from that person, obviously. But with this, it's you don't have that.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that I really want people to know, like if when they watch this, is that there's a lot of things to consider more than just, oh well, this character sounds good. It's like, nah, in a vacuum, yes, but with each other or with the medium, that's a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that to consider, and then just so going to your question, like a lot of these things had to intersect just for us to like move forward. And yeah, that was kind of like that was sort of the biggest thing with the NPCs, for example. When it came to the NPCs, like I was very skeptical about that stuff, because it's like you're gonna get like these people with various like qualities
Headset
and all
mics.
and
Phones.
you know.
Not gonna lie, my first 10 videos were recorded using my phone, the audio. I just recorded it and uploaded it to my PC, man. It was bad. Dark ages.
I mean, you know, sometimes it is what it is, but you know, like if you're in the game, and the thing is, no, see, the thing is for you, if that's what you're doing, but then you're not talking to anybody, then you're fine, right? But if the moment you're talking to somebody with like a good microphone, then that becomes the problem. It's relative. So, you know, like,
Well, I think we'll be all right tonight.
Yeah, I know, right? We're all normalized.
The same principle came with the talent of the actor too, because as Chris said, no facial expressions, no lip flaps. We had to convey every piece of emotion that's supposed to come across in a text box with the voice acting twice as much as you normally would.
Yeah,
because
it's gotta
in
be extra
Remake,
expressive. Yeah,
in Remake you could give 100%, like, you know, Barrett after the platefall, and his character and his animations and the camera angles have been punching the wall and you can see him visibly crying. That actually helps the voice actor and the
levels it
performance.
up.
We don't have that, so you have to do 150% to make up for the lack of those other things that aren't there. And that was also something that Crane taught me early on as well.
Yeah, crying into camera into nothing is like difficult, right? Because it's very easy for that to sound cringy. Right, like even if it's like heartfelt, it's very easy for that to sound cringy, because like you have no other nothing else is expressing that idea, you know, like so because of that, like we had to approach the whole project with like a specific mindset. So yeah.
No, I like it. So what was like the advice that you'd be giving people more often than not? You know, like when it was just the random NPCs, like how much advice would you give them? How much coaching would you give them? Would you try and keep it minimal, or would you find that you were having to do a lot with some people? Or
it varied a lot. Tell them that one. Go for it. Tell them that one.
Okay, let's go.
At least I'm hoping my memories haven't warped over time since then. But I remember one particular NPC that Crane was working with on his stream, because typically, you know, we both stream, we'd have NPC nights, bring someone on a Discord call and coach them through it. And a lot of people are capable of listening to direction, and some people can't. And that's not through fault of their own. They just, because you don't pay attention to your own voice when you're talking. If somebody says, like, try doing it this way, and you think you're copying them, but you're just not, it's not your fault. But it also came to a similar thing where it was put emphasis on certain words or say a word a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, like, for example, you might say grass or grass. You know, it's a different way of saying the same word. And if I remember correctly, there was one particular NPC we were working with. I think they were on the phone for maybe half an hour. It was a one-line NPC, and they either couldn't get one of the words right, or couldn't emphasize the right word in the sentence.
It was the emphasis.
Right.
And it didn't matter how long we tried. And what is difficult for us, at least, because being, you know, quote-unquote public figures, and we're there to help people, we have to put a time limit on something. If we get to the point where we realize we aren't helping you, you're not able to take what we're giving, we have to reach a cutoff point and smile and wave and say, okay, we've got what we needed. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next guy. And then, you know, they don't make it in the game, and it can become a problem down the line. It's even worse if you put someone in the game and then end up replacing them later.
100%.
But yeah, like, it's tough to direct somebody who's never voice acted before. Some of them pick it up like clockwork, but some just they just don't.
It's a bit tougher.
It's through no fault of their own. It's just you haven't done it. So it's like asking someone on the street, "Oh, do a backflip," and you can't, you know. Obviously, that's more difficult, but you know,
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
similar principle.
Well, see, the problem there is like, you actually nailed that one where this goes to almost any skill, right? The first thing that you need to even acquire a skill or to be good at a skill is to be able to have like an accurate representation in your head about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So there's plenty of times where, you know, that's why, you know, when people watch American Idol or something like these singing shows and they have like these auditions and they're horrible, like, you know, people think like, oh, this is scripted. It's like, it's not scripted because they literally lack the ability to, like, what's coming out of their mouth and what they're hearing in their head, it's not, they don't line up.
Yep.
So they think they're hitting the right note. They think that they sound good, but they don't actually.
Yep.
They don't actually, right? And
they don't actually. They do not.
They don't, right? So it's just no, and it's the same. It's the same in this situation too. Like, you know, with voice acting, it's actually harder to be real about your voice. Because there's no opposite reaction. So for example, like it's easy for you to discover very quickly that you're bad at basketball, right? Because you don't land any hoops, right? Any of that stuff. But then when you're doing voice acting, it's actually very, very difficult, right? Because you need so much feedback.
I'm saying words. What do you mean I'm not doing it right? I'm saying words.
I would assume that as a YouTuber, when you edit your own videos and put them up,
it's horrifying.
I sound so different to the way I think I do. It's the same thing.
I'm cool with how I sound now hearing it myself, but if I listen to it on a recording, I don't know how you people do it.
Yeah. And acting, we don't. Anytime like it. For me, I'm not a voice actor either. Like, I'm training. Like, I want to be one. I think it's cool. And I've learned at least what I put it down to. You know, obviously it's my skill level isn't good enough yet. Yeah. But a similar way to look at it that hurts less is I would say that your microphone removes 50% of your skill. Right. So therefore you give it 150% and you'll sound like you did 100% and you'll be good. Mm-hmm. That's how I've been looking at it. Yeah. And I know that yelling is definitely something. I've done it on my stream plenty of times for fun with just the chat. And I'm like, hey, how many of you think you can yell properly? And they'll all send me recordings. And they all think in their head that they've really yelled. And then I listen to it and it's just like, no. And I'm like, oh, it's terrible. Yeah.
That's always like, especially if you're new, it's always better to, obviously if you're not new, sometimes doing 150 is not good. Yeah. Because, you know, the thing is,
because you're already there at that point. Yeah, you bring your levels
accuracy,
up. Yeah.
Your accuracy, like, you know, it becomes an accurate representation in your head. So when you're yelling at 150, it ends up just being 150. Right?
Everyone's like, no.
But when you're starting off, it's usually better to do that. Go 150 because maybe 70% of that is like shaved off, right? Like it's always the case. Like it's exactly what Tsuna said. It's like when people think in their head they're like no, and then in the recording it's like no. It's like, you have no idea how true that is, and it's funny because a lot of aspiring voice actors and stuff like that, like they still go through this problem because remember that accuracy thing is always going always going to haunt you like for a very, very long time. That's why sometimes the feedback it's one of the things where feedback is super important in this field. Like you hear back. This is one of the reasons why like it's kind of it's one of the reasons why people do fandom so much in this industry is because they want to be able to hear themselves back with the medium. Because if you just throw auditions like at projects, then you never hear back from it because you can't. Like it's first of all, anyone who's listening to this, if you throw auditions to companies or for projects or whatever, and you always ask for it back, one, they probably if they like they won't, and if they do, they'll probably just try not to hurt your feelings or some shit. So. Like you're not even getting a like good feedback, you know. So it's a very difficult.
Something's wrong with your performance. Like I think the ability to not get butthurt in any career, this is probably the one you need it the most. It's one thing to be told you suck at basketball. You know, you can practice, get better, whatever. But like if you're told that you suck at voice acting and you take that as an insult and never listen, it won't. You'll never get anywhere. You have to be able to take criticism.
You'll be stuck there.
Yeah. It's so important. That's why a director exists. You know, that's why coaches exist in sports. And
exactly. Help you improve yourself. That's the thing.
Well, I actually argue that it's even harder because of the fact that like in sports you can sublimate, right? Like so for example, if you tell me I suck and I get mad, like I can actually transform that into performance. But in voice acting, if you tell me, "Oh, you suck," and then I get mad, then it will actually just make my performance worse.
Yeah, it'll decline.
Yeah. So I might show off the wrong emotion, if anything. So it's a very difficult thing because you know, like the voice as an instrument is it's very volatile.
Yeah, and I suppose people just kind of assume in general, like, oh, you're just sitting in front of a mic and talking. And it's like, no.
Yeah, that's what everyone thinks.
Yeah, that's it. They think I could do that. That's easily imitatable. But
I mean, it's funny too because you know, okay, I know some people will criticize me for this, but
the same people hate English dubs, by the way, in anime.
Yeah,
them guys, they don't understand.
Yep. No, but it's like when because Square Enix does this a lot, like especially with Final Fantasy VII particularly, right? Where what they like to do is they like to get like actors, like screen actors to do voice acting. And I'm not saying that they can't do well, but it's certainly different when a person who's been doing voice particularly it's a different craft. You know, a lot of people think that, you know, because they both have the name acting in front of it, it's like there's going to be a fair bit of overlap. There's overlap, but it's not the same.
It's not as substantial as you'd think. Yeah.
It's like, you know, like I would dare anybody to like kind of look at like even something like the remake, and they did a really amazing job, by the way. Like all of the actors, like, you know, the ones who don't really like voice act or whatever, right? Who took on some of the roles. But then you would have people like Yuri Lowenthal voiced Johnny in that, right? And he was like phenomenal. Like he was like literally he sounded so different from everybody else.
Johnny is brilliant.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, you would hear like Erica Lindbeck who voiced Jessie, and she sounded like way like it's a different craft. Like, and you know, I know
because you've got to convey a lot more through your voice, whereas with like screen acting, you've got your body, you've got your physicality, you've got everything that's going on around you.
On a lot of those things.
Exactly. Yeah. So you've got to.
You have to convert that into a method.
Yeah, it all comes down to what you're saying when it comes to voice acting. So if you're more practiced at that, then you're probably going to do a better job.
It's easier to say "hiya" and actually punch somebody than it is to say "hiya" and not do anything and have it sound as good, you know.
Well, it's almost like it's akin to something like Foley work, right? So for example, think of it this way, you know, when you have sound effects for movies, right? Or sound effects for anything, right? And you see, like, you hear a footstep, and the reality is, if you do what is actually real, that footstep is not going to actually sound like a footstep.
No.
Right? It's just gonna sound, and it has no weight into it, nothing. So you actually have to make like a quote unquote 150% footstep or something that sounds way bigger than that.
So that you hear it and
like,
you go, oh, that's a footstep.
Oh, that's a footstep, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny that the reality it's not even real enough.
Yeah.
For us, and that's kind of like that's what people learn too. It's like if you punch and you go hiya, if you record just that and you put it in a video game, people would think, man, that shit is weak, right? Like you have to be like over the top with it because that's what you're expressing, and that's kind of like what I'm saying with voice acting. And you know, a lot of the voice actors themselves, like the ones who worked in Remake, if you look at a lot of their interviews, they even admit the same thing. They're just like, oh, it's a lot different because you know everything is just the voice now. It's like, yes, that's really what it is. And you know, just to sort of like it's actually easier. If anything, I'm giving a lot of props to people to actors who do any sort of Square Enix like Final Fantasy stuff at all, because not only are you being asked to do everything with your voice, but the nature of the medium itself, like because they're so anime and angsty and whatever, like they have to kind of they have to like bring you down a bit. So you can't just go in and be like, hey guys. You have to be like, hey guys, you know. And it's
got that broody essence.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually a much harder to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
you playing school is going to be very difficult.
It must be tough as well for the ones coming from like screen acting over and being, because not only have they got to do this in a different manner than what they're used to, but they're actually stacked up next to people who do this day in, day out. So it must be a fair bit of pressure for them. So yeah, they do deserve a reasonable amount of credit. Do you know what I mean? They've done.
Oh no, they
deserve
a lot of
job.
credit.
Yeah.
But
so the average player has no idea the difference between actor and screen actor when playing the game.
Yeah,
so, like,
that's it. You can't tell. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, but for like voice actors, like it's kind of like that's how I felt like when you know you see these scenes. And the thing was like, I was like, you can put me on record for this.
Oh, it's recorded.
Oh yeah, exactly. I was sort of going into Final Fantasy VII Remake like expecting to sort of, I was bracing myself like, oh, you know, like the screen actors are gonna have, you know, a bit of a rough time, and they didn't. And I was just like, oh shit, this is really, really good.
Let's go.
You know. But then, but at the same time, like when somebody like Erica or like Yuri or whatever, like
you can tell.
You can tell. Like especially if you're a voice actor,
trained air as well. Yeah, that's it.
You're like, man, they're just literally, it's like a walk in the park. Like there's very little what I call resistance in the acting, you know? So that it should be that way. Like anybody who's criticizing that, it kind of should be, right? In a sense. Right? Yeah, even for Roche. Like well, Roche is a actual like actor, right? Yeah. Sorry, I mean voice actor. But like what I'm saying is that it's supposed to, like the people who have years and years and years and years and years into the discipline, they should sound better.
Yeah. Because it's what they do.
It's what you do.
That's it.
It's weird. So, but yeah, and putting all of that into like sort of the Echo S sphere, it's like it's difficult, and you realize too when even for me, like I work with a lot of voice actors. Like obviously, I'm the voice director of this project, but when we started working with like people for NPCs, like it really solidifies that in you. It's just like, man, this is not as easy. Because, you know, you're working with a lot of even quote unquote newbie voice actors that we met like back in the Voice Acting Alliance or whatever, or people who do that. They're at some point like at least dedicated to the craft. Yeah. You know? So they read lines differently. And then when you meet someone straight off chat, it's like, oh. They don't have any of that, like at all, right? So, yeah. So
one of them,
there were
some people around pretty quick, though.
Oh yeah. No, because when some people have talent, it's like wow, you know.
I've seen NPCs get pulled into a call with yourself or myself and go from sounding like just, hi, my name is whatever, and I am a shopkeeper. And then 10 minutes later, after a tiny bit of direction, they're just like, damn, this is impressive.
This is amazing.
Might be a shopkeeper line, but still.
So did you have people like that who really kind of like, you brought them in to do an NPC say, and you ended up hearing them and you were like, shit, maybe we should have had these for an actual voice?
All the time.
Was that,
All the time.
I think we'll probably both have one in particular that we remember and be like, okay, you stood out from the pack. And I have different ones for different reasons. I think quality-wise, unfortunately, let it down a bit. But I brought somebody in for Priscilla
Okay.
And she'd never voice acted anything before. And the moment I heard her voice act, I
Yeah.
was like, excuse me?
Yeah, I know. what you
Where
mean.
have you got this talent from? To the point where I was just giving her lines, didn't have to really ask for redos whatsoever. Like, my judgment on the spot, I don't know if they were redone at a later date or not after the editing, but I was just like, this is incredible. You're talented. Like, where has this come from? And then I've had other people where we have one particular NPC where at first, they've been around for years and done plenty of NPCs with us, but at first, it was just kind of their personality, I guess, their way of speaking. It was slow, very bland. You know, you could almost turn them into a TTS. But by the end of the game, by the end of the game, I heard one of their lines and I was like, shit. Like, they really
Transformation.
improved over the course of doing this project, you know?
Yeah, some of those, it's I think one of the proudest moments that we've had, I think, was because obviously at this point in time everybody knows about FF9 and stuff.
Yeah. Cat's out of the bag on that one.
Oh yeah, one of our main actors in that was somebody who just did NPCs in FF7.
Stepped
And
up.
oh yeah,
Love that.
to main, right? It was kind of funny too because now he's just like, oh yeah, did you want me to do any NPCs for FF9? I'm like, no. You're main
Nope,
cast
you get
now,
none.
boy.
Save that beautiful voice. Save
You
that.
in the big leagues now. So
You want NPCs, go to FF8.
do that. But yeah, so it's also cool. So so his, you know how he had like these little frequencies of I like this and now I don't and now I do now, like that was kind of what it is for me. I think more so like after FF7, I think you've adopted more of my mentality where it's just like, okay, I'm not gonna grab like just random people for NPCs anymore. And then for me, I'm actually a lot more open to it because I've found really good actors amongst the NPCs.
Yeah.
So I think it was
does
cool
grow
finding
a
that
lot.
Oh yeah. My group has gone has quadrupled in size, honestly, to the point where I actually needed to actually organize. But yeah, no, it's really amazing. So it's not like all of the NPC stuff was like doom and gloom or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, like I would consider it like a worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
Like we found some great people. Like, you know, you mentioned like Square Cactus, like, you know, like we found like Lazarus is another one. Lazarus was doing like amazing. You know, that Sector 6 guy, you know, maybe anyways.
We're working on it. I've got a good mic now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it's been that part has been fun. That part has been really fun.
Yeah, because it's not even just that as well. It's like, you know for a fact that you are bringing quite a bit of joy into these people's lives just for the simple fact that they can sit there and go, yo, I am an FF7.
Yeah, it took me quite a while to decide, because I had already decided before Crane was around that I wanted the NPCs to be done.
Yeah.
And I wasn't aware as much at the time that the quality difference would be because I got my main characters in the same way at the time, you know, so the quality was just terrible all around, which made it okay, you know. But I was thinking for so long, I was like, would people prefer to just have the main and minor cast voiced and all the NPCs be silent? Or would they rather accept that the NPCs are going to be mid-tier and everything is voiced? And that alone was tough to make a decision on.
Yeah.
But whenever I considered the fact that if I invite all these random people from our community, just random lovers of Final Fantasy VII, people that have supported me on Twitch for all this time, we're creating a new circle, a new community. And I'm guaranteeing that all these people are going to play my mod.
That's true.
So, you know.
Captive audience, let's go. No, but it's good though as well because, like, I've been outside recently. I don't do it very often. Now and again, I'll go outside, speak to people, and everyone sounds different. So, you know, if you had this uniform kind of standard sound across everybody, you know, there's people who sound weird out there. I sound pretty weird. So, you know, it's a good thing.
Yeah. I also love the idea, like, I was thinking way ahead of time. I'm thinking, like, you know, if we're going to get in news articles, it's just going to happen. When Echo S is done, they'd be stupid to not write about it, to be fair. But when we get in IGN, Eurogamer, and all that stuff for Echo S, one of the things that I imagine the big talking points is going to be community-built project.
Yeah. Which is
That's a seller
exactly what it
right
is.
there.
It is
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
It's one of the things I love. And I get to sit in calls like this or when I'm on stream, and I get to say the word we instead of I,
Yes.
which seems like nothing at all, but when I feel like my chat actually believes me when I say we did it.
Yeah.
You know, you'll watch a normal streamer playing Crisis Core. They'll get to the end of the game crying, it's like,
We
oh,
did
we
it."
completed Crisis Core. Nobody in chat's thinking we did anything.
No, it's like you did it.
You know,
We
it's
watched.
like you did it.
We were
And I
along
think
for the
when
journey.
people see me say we about Echo S,
I
it
specifically-
actually feels that way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I specifically tell my chat they did nothing. I was the one that won all of these fights. They were a hindrance, if anything. I make a point of that. But yeah, with this, it is literally the community did build it. The community's fingerprints are literally throughout the game, and it is an amazing.
And it'll be forever in the credits.
Yeah, and it's immortalized. That's it.
They're gonna
Because
grow up and have kids, and then tell their kids, like, "Look, there's my name in that." It's like, yeah. And then
Jimmy,
the next generation
look.
plays Echo S too.
oh,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing. That would be amazing. Oh, I'm all about it. So, another question that I wanted to ask, and we'll move on from that one because, you know,
Question two after an hour.
No, this is number 3 now. We've hit 3. We're doing good. We're doing good. This is well better. I think we were on question 1 still last time we talked. We hadn't even started. This one we've kind of already touched on a little bit. What other changes have you implemented into the game beyond the voice acting? So,
Right.
and I'm not just talking about the functionality. There's been a lot of editing to make the script a bit more palatable and make it more suitable to voice act and things like that. So what kind of stuff have you done? What's gone into this?
Yeah, the script itself has undergone a lot of changes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say originally, because I feel like once you change something enough, it stops becoming what it was, and now you've altered it enough for it to be your own thing, I guess. But originally, Echo S was built on top of another mod named The Reunion, which is a Japanese translation of the original PlayStation 1 discs into modernized English.
Yeah.
And it fixed a lot of the story because countless people, anyone listening right now, chances are when you played FF7 the first time, you were a little confused, or somebody else told you something and you were like, oh, I never realized that because the translation was god.
Yeah, it was.
So we had that to begin with. And then on top of that, we've had to change a lot ourselves because it's one thing getting a story from, like, we'll say a book, right? You read a book. If you had voice actors read out that exact book to you, it would sound weird.
Yeah.
Because the context of you reading something out of a book or a text box isn't going to match what somebody would actually say in a real conversation between people. So we have actually had to
Make it
reword a
feel
lot of
more
the game.
natural. Yeah.
Yeah, so two actors can play off each other and a conversation feels fluid. Things that people would actually say to each other.
Yes.
So yeah, there's been a lot of script changes. You will understand the game perfectly when you
Yes.
play Echo S. As well as that, though, as we mentioned earlier, there was the day and night system, the weather system, the calendar system, the auto text. All of that is completely optional, so you don't have to use any of it. You could only use the day and night system if you wanted to, for some
Yeah,
reason.
and you can turn it on and off as well during the playthrough, can't you? You can
yes, on any save
alternate
point.
on the save point, which I think's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I
And I
love
will be
that.
adding a save point to every town. Because once you get out of Midgar, there really aren't that many save points unless you're in a quote-unquote dungeon area.
Yeah, that's a good point,
'Cause
actually.
They
Yeah,
expect you to save on the world map instead.
yeah, just bob outside.
Yeah, so I will be placing actual save points in every every town to make sure you can still
Makes
turn
sense.
off the stuff.
That's true.
As well as that, we have added a tiny bit of extra content. So it's going to depend what side of the wall you're on here, because some of the content we're going to add, is straight out of our own heads. It's not canon. And, some people might say that as you've ruined the game, you're ingesting your own thing into
Blasphemers.
the game.
Yeah.
Sure, I understand that. But just
Like adding
just know
whispers and
that
shit. I don't know.
we put
No,
a lot
you
of-
wouldn't do that. No.
we did put a lot of time and thought into what we were adding in to make sure it fit the story and we
Yeah.
felt like it belonged in that universe. An example of that is one's more jokey and nobody's actually going to complain we ever did it.
Good.
The Barrett date.
Oh, you've done stuff. Whoa.
Yeah, we will have. I'm still currently working on it. but
Okay.
Everybody, I'm pretty sure everybody ever, they've saw the achievement for the Barrett date. They want to get it for the memes. And it's a little disappointing that dude in Gold Saucer doesn't let you on the play because it's two dudes.
I know.
Like,
Oh,
what?
stop it.
So yeah, we're
Let's
gonna make
go.
that. That's gonna be funny. Cloud is gonna be the one in a dress. because the model already exists. It's nice and easy for me. And then when you're on the carousel, there's realistically, chances are nobody listening to this has ever thought about it. You were probably happy and content with what was on the carousel, but Cloud and Tifa being on the carousel for the first, like, it's kind of their only alone time since ever.
Since ever
being on the well, and there just isn't that much content there. You feel like Tifa would have took that opportunity to either learn more or say more.
Quiz Cloud a little bit about his brain.
Right, exactly.
What's going on with your brain, man?
Yeah, so we have extended and enhanced the script there. I feel like it's very true to the vanilla and everything.
Yeah.
We are going to do the others too. Aerith's is going to be very true in vanilla. We'll probably play with Yuffie's a bit. Because
Aerith's is probably the most fleshed out one because it's the canon. It's canon. It's the one that they kind of push you towards. You start with more points with Aerith. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, they probably need to do. You'll probably have to mess with that barely at all, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there's not much really. I think there'll be something we'll find somewhere, but yeah.
Well, we have Yuffie and we have Yuffie already. So
right
in the carousel.
I don't think I have her in game yet, but yeah.
Yeah, but I did give you lines for those already. Oh no, actually, I think because I think you played it once or something.
Do I need to try and get the Yuffie date on my playthrough?
Sure. I only remember doing Tifa's.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I that's what I'm also gonna work on. But yeah, because one thing we did Okay, so it's very strange, but it's one of those things. Just piggybacking off of what Tsuna said, is that once the game is voiced, you realize how small the scenes are.
Yeah.
Once it's voiced, and things feel a lot different. So some of the things like the carousel. That's one of the things that we did add. Tsuna, I'm surprised you didn't start off with this, but you actually added like a whole new animation to the Cloud Sephiroth thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the flashback, because now with voice acting, it's jarring when the screen just like shifts back.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I thought for so long, like when I first explained that to chat, like I created the whole thing on stream. It took me about 8 hours because I had to recode the whole scene from nothing. And I received those lines for the flashback where Cloud and Sephiroth are stood face to face after Tifa's been slashed and whatever. They're in the reactor. And in the original game, Cloud shouts like Sephiroth, and it's all emotional. Then they just both stand there perfectly still in a frame phrase as the camera goes do 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 do. And it's like, okay, these voice acting lines are a million times better than this scene deserves. So I recoded the whole scene and made it more interesting. I had to up the scene to match the levels of the voice acting.
Yeah.
And it definitely made that scene more interesting, which I thought was a really nice change. And so far, at least, everyone I've spoke to that has played that scene was like, yeah, 100%.
Loved it. Yeah.
It was so much better.
Those of us that found the Tsuna codes.
yeah. Because no one else has played past that yet.
Oh my God.
Just a beta
test. Well, we also tried to add a lot of like story elements to it. Like it's like things like because I on my side I actually do a lot of like rescripting for the characters because sometimes when this is something we tell our voice actors honestly, like with these, because we have the ability to change the text. It's like if you come across a line that just sounds weird to say, like say it a different way and we'll just change the text because
make it natural.
Yeah, because it's so unnatural. It's so unnatural to do. Like, and if it sort of feels right with the character, like go ahead and do it. Like I've done that many times with Barrett where I change the lines up because it's funny because the dialogue, the dialogue sounds less Barrett-y than and you see that even in the remake they do this, right? Like they really just change a lot of the dialogue so it actually fits their characters better as opposed to sort of following old script. But it's small things too. Like here is an example. Like this is one of my favorite examples. Is when you go to comm. Spoiler, anybody? If you go to comm and then you see and you talk to the materia shop owner.
Yeah.
Yes.
What we did is we made the materia shop owner actually give you a warning, give you a clue, a hint about Yuffie.
Right.
Yeah, because if you were playing it,
may have seen this.
If you've never played the game, right, and you don't know anything, right?
Oh yeah, you've got no idea.
You might
Yeah.
not ever
You have
find
no idea how to find Yuffie, right? Like for Vincent, like there's so many reasons for you to be like, what's in this door?
Yeah.
Why is there a
It
safe?
funnels you
Why is
to
there
it.
this?
see over
Yeah.
the wall with the camera angle.
Yeah,
so,
and for Yuffie, it's kind of like this is just out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, you've
So
just got a
what-
chance of randomly getting jumped if you wander through a forest. That's it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: is that so if you wanted to get Vincent, you can get Vincent, but
Yeah.
if you wanted to get Yuffie, you still have a problem, right? Like the game doesn't just hand her to
Yeah.
you. So that's something that I did was I changed the lines in the materia shop where they were just like, oh, I'm sorry for the low stock. First of all, it is that shop actually doesn't have much of a stock anyways,
Yeah.
True.
right? you buy earth materia and then that's it, right? So
Yeah.
and and they apologize. They're just like, I'm so sorry that we don't have much stock, but like our guys are getting jumped by like somebody every time they go, so don't go to the forest, wink wink,
Just avoid the forest.
yeah. And we know, and I think this is something like, if you were to put this in modern game sense, this is something you would have to do kind of anyways, right?
Yeah.
So just to make the game feel a little bit more upright, I think speaking on Yuffie thing, can I talk about the Wutai thing? Because I really love
Yeah,
it.
go for it. Go for it.
Okay. So I had this crazy idea, and I'm just like, for storytelling purposes too. Like, I wanted Wutai I wanted people in Wutai to actually speak Japanese.
Okay.
So, and it's good on many story levels. It's not just, oh, I just wanted to do it because it's cool.
It fits.
It fits the world too, because remember, Wutai is supposed to be the other,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool that they were speaking Japanese. I also used it in a storytelling way. I'm not gonna spoil that, but and it also worked out too because our actress for Yuffie actually speaks Japanese. So it's like,
Love that.
why not? And there are all these times too where Yuffie does this talking to the camera sort of thing, right? Where she's just like, hey, they don't know. I'm about to steal all their material, whatever, right? And it just sounds weird that she's just saying it in English, just plainly. So what we did was every time she had the parentheses in her dialogue, we would make her speak Japanese instead.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
it's really cool. It was a headache to do because we had to get like a translator. We had to find actors who could speak it, like all of that sort of thing. But I think overall it really helped.
Worth it. Yeah.
I can actually think of one very, very prime thing that we did when it came to changing the words and how things are done to make you understand some of the story. To the point where I have a clip of me on stream realizing this thing only recently.
Oh, okay.
In that everybody's always been aware that Kate Sith is Scottish, right?
Yeah.
That's because he was in the movie. He was
Yeah,
Scottish.
yeah.
And for me, I always grew up thinking, okay, so Kate Sith is Scottish because either A, he is a different entity, the cat is alive, has its own memories and stuff.
This
Yeah.
It has its own vocal
cat.
cords, right? Or it was because some AI changed Reeves' accent and voice, because what's the point in being undercover if your own voice comes out of the thing, right?
Fair.
That was what I always thought. And there is a particular line in the original game. After Rufus is gone, they're in the office. I think they're talking about Proud Claude at the time.
Mhm.
And Scarlet says to Reeve, like, why is your voice so weird, Reeve? Are you panicking? And it's like, okay, well, what does this line mean? No one ever really, you just breeze over it and you think, okay, well, whatever, weird translation. Because what's happening there, she's actually referring to Reeve panicking so much that he's not hiding his American accent anymore. He's got his Scottish accent that he's had under wraps for all these years. And now that he's panicking, he's broke his thing, and Scarlet's referring to him like Reeve, why do you sound so weird? Why has your tone of voice changed? Like, what is going on? And he's like, don't worry about that right now, It's so good.
Could even,
I only
it could
realised that a
even
couple
not
of
be
months
that. It
ago.
could be that he's just got a voice mod and he forgets to turn it off and talks
Well,
to
he's talking
Scarlet
in
or something
person.
like that. Yeah, that's what I mean. So maybe the modification isn't on the Kate Sith end. Maybe it's on the Reeve end, and he's got like a little
Well,
voice box thing or something.
well, it's funny too because
That's
like
crazy. I love that.
no, but here's the thing too is that if you go into the gold saucer and you go into one of the rooms, the room on the upper right, I remember this very clearly because you know the not the gold saucer, sorry, the Honeybee Inn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did this last night.
That's actually those are actually Reeve's parents.
Yeah.
And if you notice their dialogue boxes are written kind of similar to the way that Kate's like the way that Ketchi's lines are written.
Oh, so he is
Because
a stealth Scotsman.
Yeah.
He's wearing a kilt. Under them pants, he's got a kilt. Oh no.
Yeah, and that's sort of the reality of it is that his parents are like that. He's like that, but when he's speaking, but you know, when he became like a sort of
he puts this accent on,
he sort of
Americanizes, if you wanted to. Yeah.
He neutralizes the accent.
Yes, and takes that harsh Scottish edge clean out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's funny too, and that also does a lot for the storytelling because when he's Ketchi, he's actually
himself
more real.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that is a cracking point. We see in the true Reeve at that point.
Yep. And the thing was, like, a lot of people didn't know. I was surprised too that Tsuna didn't realize this too, because when I sent him the lines, because I remember when our actor for Reeve, I told him that. I'm like, okay, at this point, like when I sent him lines, Reeve doesn't have that many lines, so I actually just copy it from the program and then just send it to him. And he knows the game well enough. So and I put an asterisk. So I said, okay, every time this has an asterisk, you're speaking in a Scottish accent, right? So when Tsuna got the lines, I was just like, I was waiting for him too. I was just like, Tsuna,
that's a good clip.
Did you get those? Did you get those? Did you get those lines? Did you get this line? Did you hear it? And then he goes, oh, what? That was an amazing moment. That was an amazing moment.
That's on my latest YouTube short.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I absolutely love it. Oh. That's you've actually just I've never actually considered that before. You've actually just kind of broke my brain a little bit. You've made me just like Kate Sith 5% more, to the point where I'm getting closer to actually saying the name properly.
Nobody will. But in the game, you do.
After you play in Echo S, like, he's named Ketchi in Echo S, so
yeah.
You'll eventually do it. So I have to get used to Zidane being called Zidane after doing this for 9.
Awful.
I refuse to accept Proud Clad though.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's we've gotten to a point where, like, this is sort of for me personally. Like, if you got a different director, you would have gotten something else. But for like other directors, voice directors care about different things.
Yeah.
Right? Some of them care about like how pretty the voices are, or how what's the word? There's a particular word for this. Shit, I'm so sorry, I don't remember it. But it's pretty much how well the voices can be received generally.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I care very little about that. I care more about like storytelling. So if
conveying emotion,
whatever I do,
that kind
even
of thing.
Yeah, and it's not just emotion. Like with the lore. Oh, is that? Oh, yeah, with the Genova
stuff.
I really care so much about like the storytelling, and I think that's kind of the beauty of having. Like, right. I'm patting myself on the back, but this is the beauty of like I really do love the game.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity for me to sort of voice direct it as somebody who knows lore.
Yeah.
And somebody who you know, there's a lot of things that people don't pick up that I want them to pick up. And that's kind of like where
kind of shine a light on that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not just doing this because it's cool, or we're not just picking stuff because whatever. It's like even the thing I did with Cloud's voice. Like, I give him a little bit of an accent. A lot of people have a problem with it. I don't give a shit. It's because, like, you know, I'm trying to. Well, I don't give a shit. It's not like I can't do like whatever voices, right? But it's also because, like, I really want it to come off that Cloud is like he's a bumpkin. Yeah. Right.
Which is what they allude to in Crisis Core anyway.
Exactly.
Let's be fair.
I'm a country boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, and I don't like it when he's like, oh, I'm a country boy, but then he sounds, but you know, in many iterations of him, he sounds like super like,
Midgar AF. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it's like, you don't have an accent or whatever at all. Like, you know, so yeah, it's one of the reasons why I do it. It's like, obviously another reason why I do it is so that no matter what, he sounds different from everybody in the whole like game. So that's also really important.
Sound different too when you get further in the game.
Yes. So what I do is I peel back on that accent a little bit more. It's kind of like I voice him as if he was trying to sound like Zach.
Yeah, so you're kind of voicing through his journey essentially, and kind of following the curvature of that, so to speak.
Yeah. So when he quote unquote finds himself, I actually approach him very differently.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much they're going to do this in remake or whatever. Or
I was just thinking that. Then is that something they're going to go for in remake?
Yeah. So I don't know if it is. I don't know if not or whatever. Maybe the reason why Cloud sounds the way he does now. Maybe they're doing the opposite, where he doesn't sound like country because he's sort of like not himself yet, and then when he does, maybe he sounds more country.
So this is it. What I was going to say was in 2 weeks we've got Crisis Core, so maybe we get that more country bumpkin-esque Cloud voice.
It's possible too because it's not the same actors.
Oh, is it? Is it not?
No. So see this.
This is how much attention I pay.
I'm very proud to discover this. I'm very proud to discover this. Okay. I have this on record, so people who have watched my streams, which are not a lot of people, but if you have watched my streams, then you will know that I call this out.
It's a good stream as well. He makes himself a potato sometimes. It's fun.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. It's the best. Yeah.
Hey, you can't say that.
When I was playing through FF7 Remake, Cloud and Tifa in the well scene, right? In the flashback. They're not. I was complaining. I was like, why do they have different voice actors if they're not going to like de-age them? Like they don't sound like kids. Right.
So what's the point in having a different one? Yeah.
In having a different voice. And then I realized on stream, I'm like, oh, I know why. Because they're going to probably redo Crisis Core, and then these are going to be the actors for those characters.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, that is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is, because Cody Christian and Britt Baron are not in Crisis Core Reunion. They are not. It's those actors. So the ones that play Cloud and Tifa on the well, those are the exact same actors as the actors for Crisis Core Reunion.
Learn something new every day.
So
Crane bringing the fucking knowledge bombs. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also we had to do this because you know how Tsuna was saying that we had to change the script a lot, and we're adding, quote unquote, but we're trying to make it sort of lore specific, like lore accurate.
Expanding.
What we had to do is, so I had to do actually a lot of research just to make sure that even when I'm writing lines for Aerith or whatever, for like the gondola scene or whatever, that I'm using words that she's actually said.
Right. Yeah.
Makes sense. Like I have to do a lot of research. It's not just like I think this and then just do it. Like this is not me trying to just.
You're not winging it. Yeah. Exactly.
No. Yeah. So
you got to keep with the tone and the theme of what's being conveyed in that moment and what Aerith's done previously and things like that. Yeah.
I do have quite a lot of text boxes in the game as well that does not contain every word that is spoken by the voice actor. Because I was a little 50-50 on this because I wasn't sure would people consider that to be a bug and start reporting it to me or not. But there have been cases where the voice actor has decided, you know what, this line would be funny if I did this. And there's one Barrett line in particular that I absolutely love. Typically when you're looking at a text box, even if you can't read fast, your brain will retain all of the words that are in that text box before the voice actor finishes it. Yeah. And I like the idea of there being surprises when the voice actor is talking. So a good example, and I'll spoil one, in Gongaga, after you have done the Temple of the Ancients and you wake up and Cloud's a bit confused, and you wake up in Gongaga. And you go outside, and Barrett says to Cloud, if you ever go crazy again, I'm going to hit you with my right hand. And then the text box stops there. But the second part of that line that continues going, it says, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to hit you with my fucking left one.
The other way around.
Or it's, other way around. Yeah. And I was like, if I write that in the text box, it just ruins everything. So I'm going to leave that one bit out of the text box, and it's going to be a surprise, and every streamer is going to have a reaction to that. As opposed to them seeing it in the text box beforehand and just smiling.
I love that. That was nice.
Okay. I knew you were talking about that one because I actually saw your reaction to it.
It might be my favorite line outside of Aerith's one outtake line.
Yeah. So. Oh, and we kept obviously we have to talk about, if we're talking about changes and stuff, like we kept like this guy are sick.
Yes.
Kept the meme.
Yeah.
reworded it.
This
to
guy, sick.
fit the scenario, but the words "this guy are sick" are still present.
Are there?
Exist.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes,
we
they
actually
are.
had to write around it for it
Yeah.
to not like just be a typo.
It was
Because if we
beautiful,
did
to
it
be fair.
outright, then people would kind of be split on that, because it's like, the community will be like, oh my god, they kept it, but then people who are not up to date with that, which, by the way, as sad to report, but there are actually more. Let's say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it'd be crazy to say, oh yeah, I mean, who hasn't played FF7, right? But like now, it's actually there's a large swath of the population whose first interaction with Final Fantasy VII is remake.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they don't even know what the
Boo.
fuck this guy our sick is.
Boo.
We've
I
known
know,
ahead of
I know.
time that Echo S will be a lot of people's first ever playthrough of FF7,
Yes.
and we've had to cater towards that as
And
well.
it is the perfect bridge, to be fair, for people who are maybe not down with playing the old games. Like, I will play FF7 in its vanilla state. I do not care. It is beautiful. It is a masterpiece. But people who've never played it before and have played Remake, not so much.
Yeah.
So this is the perfect way for them to A, experience a classic, but B, have all those mod cons and quality of life and all that kind of business that you get in gaming these days.
Yeah.
It is amazing what you've done. It
And
genuinely is.
I plan after release, like patch 1.1, 1.2, whatever,
Yeah.
to feed them even more story from the FF7 universe that isn't in the original FF7, like the audiobooks, for example.
Ooh.
I want to code them into the game.
Oh, I like that.
Because I think it'd be super fun.
Yeah.
And, to be fair, like Echo S brings a lot of attention, and I want that to stay as long as it can. So
True,
I'm gonna do
true.
what I can for it. But
Mhm.
countless people have no idea what happens in the audiobooks. Everybody can watch a movie, everybody can play a game, but nobody reads.
No,
It
God.
just doesn't happen.
Words on paper? Are you mad?
And we will voice the audiobooks at some point too.
That's better. No.
So yeah.
No, I do love a good read, but yeah, I'll be honest, I've not read a good book for quite a while. I need to get back to it. It's been a while.
And I always refer to them as audiobooks. The audiobooks are actually fan made. They're just Square Enix have books.
Yeah.
I've never read the books. I've just listened to the fan made audio ones.
Oh, so there's a lot of stuff coming. So you've already added a pretty substantial amount of stuff. You've tweaked things to make it flow more naturally rather than being a bit janky. But let's be fair, the original translation was a little bit janky. It was fun, but it was janky. And now you're looking at adding the audiobooks in.
I've had one idea so far that I wanted to present and Crane agreed with in the Temple of the Ancients, which I'll let you experience on your own.
Yeah, you've
normally
been
Crane is the
dangling
one that
this
comes up
carrot.
with-
Yeah, you've been winding me up about something in the temple, and I'm
Actually,
scared.
the one I mentioned the other day, or hinted at,
Oh, is
is
this a different
the same
one?
thing.
Oh, super!
Yeah,
There's two.
different thing. But normally the little smart ideas that are in Echo S, like
Yeah.
Genova stuff that you'll experience later too,
Yeah.
they're all Crane's ideas. Like he's got this creative freedom and comes up with stuff. And then I came up with one idea for Temple of the Ancients. So I was like, this is more friendly because of this, whatever. Let's do that. And it was
These
like,
are the
"Alright,
reasons why
fine."
this is allowed.
When I first implemented it into the game on stream too, I offered $50 to anybody on PayPal right there and then to anybody that could get what we were doing.
Figure it out.
Nobody got it.
Ooh. And that's in there on the version I've got.
Yes.
Yes.
God.
It's in the version everyone has. Like, yeah. So if you have a version that's up to the Temple
The
of Ancients,
latest one, yeah.
It's not something we thought of afterwards. It's something we thought of before, and then we worked it into.
Yeah, you've obviously,
worked
these
on.
things take time.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh,
but,
I'm looking forward to that
I
then.
was very happy with that idea.
Proud moment. So, I mean...
I do wish this is I guess I'm using your platform as a way to like
Do it, man.
sort of bully Tsuna into submission, but because he's been doing a lot of things where like, for example, when you have a moment, when you have a part of the game where it is supposed to be this character or whatever, or so on and so forth, like what he would do is he would switch where the person running around is that character. And
You've
I kind of wish I
experienced that already playing as Barra after the train.
Yeah.
It's only like 2 screens, but still,
It counts.
it's lore
It
friendly
counts.
because Barrett's like the reactor should be down just
Follow
down this
me.
tunnel.
Yeah.
Everyone runs into Barrett, and then boop, you're Cloud.
Yeah, it is
That's the one that knows
stupid.
the way.
That. Yeah.
So yeah, changed it.
No, but I do wish that that stuff happens more. So like, you know, like with Aerith, Temple of the Ancients, it'd obviously make more sense if you're walking
She
around
was
as Aerith.
leading. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is nice in the game, like in the vanilla game, where you get those moments where you're in control of Tifa, you're in control of Cid.
Yeah.
You know, those moments are nice. It changes things up. It's fresh. Yeah.
I'm down to do that as many times as the story allows it, like for it to make sense.
Temple and Aerith definitely makes sense in a lot of ways. I think Red 13 in Cosmo Canyon at certain points could make sense as well.
Well, maybe if he's the one when you go
Not
into
the whole time, when you go into the cave.
When you go into the cave, maybe it's just him. Yeah, I don't know.
That could be cool.
That could work. But with the thing is with Aerith in the Temple of the Ancients, I think that would be pretty good. And we would have to add stuff too, because then all the person who's answering all the text boxes is not going to be Cloud anymore.
Yeah,
right? It's going to be Aerith. So we would have to do that. Our Aerith voice actress is you know, she's pretty online now. So
yeah, she was chilling in stream last night. Yeah, she came and watched last night while we started up.
Yeah. Yep. So that's been very good.
That's good.
That's been very good. So.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
So there's still loads of little ideas that are kicking around for things that we're going to get over time, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see what comes. I want to see what comes from the brains.
I have many plans to personalize Echo S to make it my own mod as well. Everything being, you know, optional and whatever stuff you have to find.
Yeah. And this is something that I love about it as well. You can customize it to what you want. I love that.
I think I was telling you yesterday that I'm going to create an obnoxious quest that you can only start on my birthday.
On your birthday, do it.
Because we have the time system in game and the calendar system. If you've chose to have that on my NPC, because I have my own NPC in the game,
Glorious.
I'm going to appear somewhere and have a quest for you that you can only get on my birthday.
Is there an NPC? Is there an unplayable crane?
Not as of right now. No.
We need to work on an unplayable crane, I think.
No, I am the playable person
no,
in the game. So
no. That doesn't count.
It'd be a bit redundant. You
could have a three-way conversation with yourself. It'd be amazing.
I've already had like many three-way conversations with myself in game. So, yeah.
Oh.
Unfortunate as that may sound. Yeah.
Oh,
I also want to unlock the ability to continue playing the game after the credits too. I don't like the idea of credits roll, game closes, done. Because a lot of people haven't beat the weapons by then. You know? Let's just continue playing and then maybe have the world map change a little bit, because in the audiobooks it states the world map has changed because Wutai took a huge hit when the live stream burst out of the ground to save it from Meteor.
You could almost make it like a World of Ruin type situation.
It could be done, yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice.
But obviously, I won't take it too far. It'll be.
We can also work backwards too. It's like, you know, let's say FF7 remake like does a lot of stuff, right? And we find it and it's lore friendly or whatever. We can like incorporate that. Like it's funny too, because watching you yesterday, because I was lurking. I'm not trying to be sneaky, but I guess I am, but I watch people who play Echo S, but I don't speak because I want to hear what they honestly think.
Yeah.
And if I'm in there, they're gonna, you know, not.
They might edit themselves. Right.
Yeah. So I don't want them moderating themselves. And one thing that you said was just like, oh no, that's supposed to be Leslie. I'm just like, you know, it'd be interesting if we actually made that.
That should be Leslie, that guy with the red hair at the door as you go into Corneo's house. Yeah, Leslie, man.
Yeah.
Okay, work him in.
Leslie him up. Yeah, well, why not? Why not? We could do that. We could do that.
Irish has enough NPCs. We can replace one.
Yeah. Oh, is it Irish?
Yeah.
He plays the dude at the door, he doesn't play the guy behind the counter.
No, just the one at the door.
Door, the bouncer. Yeah.
Oh, we can't cut Irish. Just let Irish do a Leslie voice. Oh, is it? Oh, fair. Yeah, I bet there's some people that are just like dozens of characters at certain points. Just because they were available one night,
Midgar had it kind of bad because our audience was a lot smaller back then.
Right, yeah. So you've got a lot of overlap with different people doing multiple characters, and I suppose that feeds in. Oh, go on.
Oh no, and Midgar was a special case too because we had like a time crunch for that one.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to release the demo like at a certain time, and because of that,
podcast.
yeah, and because of that, we were like, we had no us almost felt like we had no choice but to just get whoever we could get.
Yeah, you're here. Let's do it. Let's go.
You know, that was the one time where having a team of people really came in helpful, because 3 days before the podcast, my hard drive died and I lost about 2 weeks worth of work.
Oh.
After everybody knowing there was a special announcement with Echo S on this podcast on this day at this time, and I was like, shit. And then I think myself, Upprisen was there. I was there. Crane was there. Amy was there. Strife was there. Like there was a good amount of people there, and we were just all like recording, coding, getting file structures, downloading files from wherever the fuck they were, and we did 2 weeks worth of work in 3 days. That was stressful.
Yeah.
Aaron was in his car the entire time, but he was there for emotional support.
Just there helping. It kind of does feed into the next thing I wanted to ask you, which is what have been some of the bigger challenges that you've faced while you've been making Echo S VII. So, like, I'm going to guess catastrophic failure of hard drive, pretty high up the list.
That was a big one. I think this is going to be something that you wouldn't expect, really. My biggest challenge of Echo S was trying to keep it as my job. And for good reason, right? Because naturally, if I had to go get a normal job and I was outside the house 9 till 5, I come home after a long day of work, I'm tired. I don't want to start streaming at 11 p.m. from my American audience.
Yep.
I have to get up for work at 7 a.m. the next day. Yeah, that alone would have absolutely fucking destroyed progress on Echo S.
Yeah.
At the same time, because I'm considered unemployed in the country, because I don't make enough to be considered self-employed.
Fully self-employed, yeah.
So I'm technically considered as unemployed. The government send me on courses, and I've had to do my best to just avoid them all. That's been my personal biggest challenge, which I guess nobody outside of this now would have ever really considered. But getting NPCs was very hard. Keeping quality consistent was very hard. Trying not to fall out with people is also
I suppose that can be tough when you've got that many different people that you're interacting. Like, everyone doesn't get along. That's just the world. Trust me,
we've
I know.
definitely experienced a couple of NPCs that maybe we couldn't accept or had to replace because they had too many in one area.
Yeah.
And then still came back and was like, I'm a little upset that you took me out, you know. Even team members, we've had some interesting stories with main cast voice actors. And you know, just trying to keep your composure. I've definitely learned over time that, like I mentioned earlier, I felt like once upon a time I couldn't tell anybody hurry up or do a better job, or this was wrong because not paid, slow, whatever, don't have a name to myself. And then I learned from Crane that you absolutely can have
this is your project. Yeah
And I think I eventually, at least at one point, I became more of a hard ass with stuff than Crane did. With at least one particular person, and for maybe a month I was like, yeah, just do the thing. Like
Rampage sooner. Yeah.
You know? I was like, no, I'm gonna keep trying, and it got to the point where it's like, no, okay.
Oh yeah. You're out. Like it's like
done.
Yeah, it was so funny too. It was funny seeing that too. Like I think it was really fun watching Tsuna evolve through all of this too.
Yeah.
Because like the Tsuna we got in the beginning is not like the Tsuna we got in the end. It was very it's nice because I think he only got better.
Yeah.
I think he only got better with this too.
Just in time for FF9.
I know, right?
Next one.
I think the worst time in the mod for me was when both me and Tsuna burnt out at the same time. That was like the worst time.
Yeah.
I think I vaguely remember that as well, because you both just kind of stopped for it was a good couple of months, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then what happened was a team took over our job. But it sort of became like, no offense to like the teams or whatever, like, you know, but it became a hindrance, and it also became like it actually brought me and Tsuna back together.
Motivation to like, right, we need to do this.
We're like, all right, we're going to assign you guys to do our job while we're gone. 2 weeks into us being gone, we're like, oh god, everything's falling to shit. We need to come back.
we need to start picking all of this back. Like, no, and what's funny, we just started like eating all of their work again. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and it wasn't their
Yeah.
fault. It's not like they did a bad job. They just hadn't
No.
had the experience doing it.
Yeah, this is it. They were probably where you were at the start of the process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, and I also think it's also a lot of the times people don't see this because, you know, like especially for Tsuna, because Tsuna's like really personable, and he's like, you know, he's a good host, like when he streams and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. But this stuff is like it's not easy, and it's so much more not easy when, you know, like we receive a lot of backlash too. Like from
Yeah.
my end, I receive a lot of backlash. When I started this, I started getting I think I get more DMs than you do, Tsuna.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I get more DMs, and you know, everyone bitches to me about like this. Like there's some weird ass people who just like, oh, I don't like this voice for this, and I'm just like, okay, what do you want me to do for it? Recast it. I'm just like, shut the fuck up and then leave. You know, like, because it's like, no, but for real, like some of them are just like, I don't like this voice. I'm like, then don't play the mod. He's like, I want to play the mod. Then tough luck.
Yeah.
What's up with the voice then?
If I could IP ban you from playing my mod, I would.
It's like, you know, it's already so much work just to do this, and you know, to like in fairness to a lot of the people who were trying to take up our job, like me and Tsuna at the time, it's like I don't think they realize like what me and
How
Tsuna go
much?
through.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, like, you know, even like I remember one of the members was getting like upset because he was like, oh man, like somebody said I cast the wrong person for this, and I'm just like and then he's like, oh, I lost a lot of motivation because of it, and I'm just like, that's me all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of have to just take it and then
You've got to
move
build
on,
that
right?
thick
Like,
skin, don't you? You've got to be able to take it and
It's definitely difficult
Just
to
keep
be
going.
able to. Yeah, it's difficult to go. Like for me at least, I only tend to. Now it's different because I'm coding secret stuff that I don't want everybody to know.
yeah.
But typically, I wouldn't. I would only work if I was on stream.
Yeah.
Because, you know, streaming is my job, and if I don't have content, I can't make money. That's, you know,
Mhm.
problems. So I would only ever stream when I was live. And if my chat was ever full of people that were like not looking forward to what I was doing, or they were annoyed about something that I was doing, it's like you realize I'm sitting here doing all this for you. You know, I'm not getting paid for doing. Well, I mean, I am, but I'm not getting paid for creating Echo S.
Yeah.
Because I'm a successful streamer. It's like I'm not releasing Echo S and then you're all buying it, and I don't have to care what you think because haha, you already bought it. You know, it's I'm doing this for free, and if everybody's pissed off at what I'm creating, it's like you are my target audience. If you are not happy, then what am I doing?
Mm.
And it can kill your mindset.
Yeah, I got that.
And I imagine the actors feel the same way if they start getting hate. Like,
Yeah, it
break
must
used to it, I
be-
guess, but
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a confidence blow.
Mhm.
yeah, like
Yeah.
wanting to hit the go live button and start working on stream when you know people are going to come in and complain about that one NPC guy that you have to talk to. It's like I don't want that shit. You know?
Yeah.
In that sense, it's like it's easier to just recast that person and then all the problems go away. But then it's like, but then that problem's like that person is sad and they did nothing wrong.
Yeah, you've created
I'm
a
not gonna
second
do that to
problem, a more localized problem at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the
I'm
thing:
not
the
gonna do that.
majority of people are on board with most things. Like, I've seen a few things that have kind of popped up. I know there was the thing with the FF9 trailer recently and stuff like that, and people being a bit
Yeah.
that. But the bulk of, I suppose the one thing that you've got to try and look towards is the fact that the bulk of people are supportive, the bulk of people love it. You're always going to get some contrarians that kind of probably like, oh, well, I don't like this. It's like, oh, well, fuck off then. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of got to be the vibe, because
Yeah.
you have to draw that line. Do you know what I mean?
yourself as a streamer and content creator. For the most part, one negative comment will outweigh 10 positive ones.
100%.
But after X amount of time, you'll see that one negative content and be like, ah, you're an idiot.
See, this
You
is
kind of get used to it.
It's another thing as well. Like, I've always, like we were talking about earlier, I've always done like customer service, tech support, that kind of thing in like professional
Yeah.
roles. And it's 100% true that people are 100 times more likely to complain about something than they are to give you positive feedback.
Oh, absolutely.
So for every, you might get one negative comment and like 10 positive comments, but you've got to think, people are more likely to make a negative comment. So if you've got exponentially more positive,
Yeah.
things are obviously going in the right direction. It is tough though, because you internalize these things when someone kind of attacks something that you've done, and like be it a performance from a voice actor or like the mod that you guys have put together. I get that it can definitely be hurtful when people are just being dicks about it, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's tough.
have a little bit of a different perspective on sort of like receiving hate, like especially on comments and stuff like that. It's because, a short story is, when I would watch other voice actors, like when I first started off, right, and they were doing like fan dubs and all that stuff, and they weren't that good. Like you would see like a lot of people making like, oh my god, this is great, keep it up, blah 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 blah. And in my head, I'm just like, oh shit, if I make something even better than that, then I'm gonna get even more compliments. And it turns out that's not really what happens, right?
No, because
So
it's
the
kind of like a
closer-
little support echo chamber that person's got at that point, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, not just that. So this is sort of like what I've experienced for like the past like 15 years, right? It's that the closer your quality gets to professional, people stop like treating you like that. They start looking at you like you're closer to pro, and because the quality is so high, they're far more critical, right?
Right.
So you
That
see
makes
this on
sense,
YouTube all
though.
the time.
That does make sense.
Yeah. So when you see a production or you see this animation or whatever, and it's not as good as something on Netflix, right? Not as good as something on Netflix, but it's okay, and it's and then people see it, but people know that it's fan made. They're so much
Extra positive.
They're so
Yeah.
charitable. They're so charitable. They're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Oh my god, Square should hire you. But the thing that's fucked up is that if Square actually did hire this person, and then people see a quality even remotely better or even way better than this, the moment that they know that this is Square, or the moment they know that it's official, they're gonna nitpick that shit to hell.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, this is the worst garbage. Really, I spent money on like that's
The
how people
goalpost shift
perceive it.
dramatically. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that you start to experience that like with Echo S VII, right? Like when in the past, when like Tsuna, you admitted it yourself, okay? Because I don't want to sound like a dick, but like when the quality was
Yeah, I never
was-
got hate ever.
yeah, when the quality was lower, people looked at it like, oh my god, this is so cute, good job, But then the moment like when things go up, right?
Like the head
but
pat,
for real,
the little cyber head pat, like, oh, you did a thing.
Yeah, and then but then when it starts to sound really really good, you think that's also
It's open to criticism at that point. Yeah.
yeah, now
Yeah.
everyone has an opinion, right? It's the same people too. Like it's like, and that's sort of the funny thing about it is sometimes you have to look at it the same way. Like, okay, one day, let's say you have a video, right, Sector, and all of a sudden that video goes viral. You're gonna kind of know that the video goes viral when you start getting notifications on your YouTube channel that like there's so many people hating on the shit.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I must have went mainstream because
Yeah, this is it. At the minute, it's all support and love. I get like one dislike to like 100 likes, whereas when I make it big, it'll be like, who's this horrible English dickhead talking about Final Fantasy? Get rid of him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna start. Yeah, and I think that's sort of the reality of it. So sometimes it's not always the negative comments aren't always negative. Sometimes it's also a barometer that you're sort of on a different
Your trajectory's
sort of like a
changed.
different level
Yeah.
now, right? Now you're on the hateable level,
Successful enough
But
to hate. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Good enough
it's
to
one of-
hate. There you go.
I mean, think about it this way. When your business if you're a small business, you're like a mom and pop shop, like everyone's like, oh my god, they're all rooting for you. And then the moment that you become successful
Sell
in your
out.
company, all of a sudden they hate you.
Sell out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, oh yeah, you corporate shell.
Same with bands as well, if you think about it. Like a lot of bands, you love them the first couple of albums they come through, but then they go corporate and they sell out, and it's oh, I'm done with that band.
I think the same
Yeah.
thing applies. I've heard so many partnered streamers complain about the same thing,
Really?
Yeah, people that were with them when they were affiliate on 5 viewers, and then they have 100 viewers now, they're verified, and suddenly you don't talk to that person as much because you're dividing your attention
Yeah.
between 100 people. They're like, oh, you should treat me better because I was there at number 1.
Yeah, the dynamic changes, doesn't it? Like I love my streams at the minute
Now I've
because
made it,
it's
you want more from me.
yeah, it's like there's 10, 20 people. I can keep up with every chat. I can keep up with all of it. Do you know what I mean? I can interact with everyone. When I see bigger streamers and you just see chat just blowing past at a rate of knots, it's like, how do you interact with your chat at that point?
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep
with
that
the-
connection?
With voice stuff, like a prime example would be, for example, if you take like an FF7 fan dub that's probably on YouTube somewhere, right? And if it's uploaded on a channel called Final Fantasy VII Fandub and it's got 10 subscribers, 100 views on the first video, everybody in the comments is like, hey, this is awesome, like, keep going. If I rip that exact video and put it on my Tsunamods YouTube channel, it would get nothing but dislikes and hate.
Yeah, but what the
Because
fuck's
people
this?
expect more from my channel than they do their channel.
Yeah, because you've built that expectation. Now you've kind of gone through that phase. You're in the next phase, and the next phase now. Yeah.
Even though it's an identical video and they get so much different.
I suppose it's all about perception. Yep, there you go.
And quality too. Like again, we're the smaller you are on the quality scale, the more charitable people are. The higher you are, the less charitable people are. So that's always one way to look at it. I always tell my voice actors that. I tell them that they're just like, why am I getting so much hate? It's just like because your quality is good. Like that's one.
Yep.
This
is it. People do just nitpick on things. It's like they've just got to look for something to pick on sometimes, isn't it? And I suppose that would go up the better you get because it becomes. Do you think it's because it becomes more of a challenge? Like the person's got to try harder to nitpick, and therefore they engage in it.
No, it's this. It's
weird.
It's
very weird.
I think it's the concept of punching up. Like people like it's so people
you
are
see someone
punching.
better at something than you are essentially, and it's like, oh, fuck them.
Well, it's not. No, see, it's not even envy. It's just that it's just like people have sort of this reaction to hierarchies, right? So they look at so if they look at something like again Apple or the government or whatever, and they have no problem shitting on the government, even though the people in the government are just people, right? Yeah. But if you put those people in normal lives, then then all of a sudden
on them. Yeah, the good people. It's a perception thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like oh, if I'm punching upwards, then that's fine, right? But then if I'm punching downwards, then that's foul.
Can't do that. Yeah.
Then why are you punching at all, bitch? Like,
stop punching in love, man. Stop punching in love. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So, but again, so people feel it's not that people don't have opinions, right? So that's what it is. It's like. The same. So okay. So going back to what Tsuna said. Tsuna said that if you get that video and then you put it in Tsuna's channel, it's different, right? It's because when it's on that other person's channel, they have the same opinion. They still think it's shit, right? But then they don't say it because they think they're punching down, right? It's like kicking a baby. They don't want to do that, right? But like the moment you put it on Tsuna's channel, they have the same opinion, but now they feel bolder about it because they're just like, what? I'm just giving my opinion. Oh, I can't take it. They expect much more from you, even though you're essentially the same person. It's the exact same content.
Yeah, they'll kick the baby at this point. They're more than happy to kick the baby at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. When the baby's grown up, then they don't give a shit, right?
I do find it interesting that you are a lot more likely to complain than you are to like put it in a positive light. Because an example I thought there, every time I ever buy something from Amazon, I'll get an email from Amazon being like, hey, what did you think of the product? If the product's fine, I'll close that email immediately. If there's something wrong with it, I'm complaining and I want a refund.
And that it's seriously like there's loads of studies about it. People are, I think it is 100 times or something around that ballpark more likely to leave a negative comment about an experience than leave a positive comment.
Why are we that way?
It's just how we're wired, man. We feel like we've been wronged, and therefore we want to say like, yo, this wasn't what I expected. This was unacceptable. Whereas if it is good, it's like, oh, you've done what you meant to do. I'm not going to pat you on the head for that. Fuck off. That's kind of the mindset.
I can't believe I'm the more like optimistic one out of all three of us.
Oh, you need to meet more Brits, mate. You need to meet more Brits.
That's possible. That's possible. I've been stuck in my third world country for way too long. All we do is look
come
at
to ours. It's fucking brilliant.
I know. You know what? When I moved to a first world country, I do realize that I'm much more of a snappy bitch. When I was in the Philippines, I'm just like I'm eating. Man, I'm having a good life. Food, clean water. What is this? Sorcery. No, but like so. I do think that. I don't think of that so much negatively. I do feel like people have a tendency to want the best out of something, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So even if it's that's also one of the reasons why I listen to criticism. There's a lot of people who, because there's something that my enemies will tell me that my friends will never tell me.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why, like, you can ask this to Tsuna. Me and Tsuna have like sometimes very different opinions on this, or like what do you call that? Approaches to this. See, for me, like when I was making Echo S, is like I'm very critical because in my mind, for him, for Tsuna, for the most part, like I know, at least before, like you were thinking like, oh man, you know, like all the people who've been supporting me, like, oh my god, these people are gonna love it. In my mind, I when I'm recording or when I'm writing the script or all of that kind of stuff, when I'm doing any work on it, the first people I'm thinking of are the people who don't give a shit about like Echo S. Because they're gonna look at this and be like, why does Cloud sound like? Oh, why is this like? Oh, like those are the first people I think of.
I love that voice.
Yeah, my sarcastic other
That's
person
the hater
voice,
voice.
right? The hater voice.
It's beautiful. No, but I get what you're saying though. That the people that are already on board, they're already on board. You want to be able to attract the people that might be like a voice mod of Final Fantasy VII. What? Nah, that's gonna be shit.
Yeah.
You want them to go. Oh, it's not.
Yeah. I'm much more of a
Big picture.
So Suna's more like a preacher and I'm more like an evangelist.
Fuck's
Never
sake.
good to smoke, right?
Yeah, smoke. Go mad.
It's okay not to smoke, right?
No, you have to smoke. In fact, I'm gonna smoke, and therefore now you have to smoke. That's it.
I'll render a video at the same time and my computer will smoke and that will serve as
Oh, are you in the biscuit tin computer region like I
Read
am?
it in.
I've got a 750 Ti still as my graphics card, mate. Can you beat that?
I don't want
Black
to.
Friday sales. No?
Mate, it's you assume I've got money. I have to pay for heating at the minute. It's costing an arm and a bleeding leg.
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
It's pretty wild.
I got 200 liters of oil delivered yesterday. It cost me €350. Like
Bro.
it's insanity. Like 2 years ago, it was less than less than €1 per liter. Now it's like 2.5 or something.
Yeah, my electricity and gas has doubled.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. They need to chill. They need to chill. This is why we smoke. It builds heat in the home, and therefore, like, this is why as soon as got that screen going in the background, get a little bit of extra heat going. You know what I mean? You've got to do it. You've got to do it.
And I'm just underwater being cool.
Yeah, you can't smoke actually. It'd just go out immediately. But
Yeah.
unless
yeah,
you can
that's,
get
that's
underwater
kind of what-
cigarettes.
I think you
That
can. I
is-
think there's such a thing.
Yeah.
It is an interesting concept that you know you've hit the right audience when you start getting people complaining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, you could also look at it, I suppose, from a certain aspect that they're only complaining because they want it to be better, and they only want it to be better because, and I'm talking from their perspective, because
Yeah.
a lot of it is subjective. Some people will, well, a massive amount of it is subjective. Some people might think, oh, this voice is shit, but 90% of people might be like, what are you on about? This is amazing. So it does come down to a lot of subjectivity, but maybe it's a misguided approach to wanting the project to be more like they want it to be because they like the project. So they're kind of almost there.
Possibly.
I'm just trying to see the best in people. I've got to be optimistic once a week, you know.
9 has had an interesting way of going because like, it's so different to 7 because 7 had voices we could clone, whereas
Yeah.
9 just doesn't really. Like, sure, like you get to.
Well,
see
yeah,
the
you've not got a
character.
frame of reference, have you, at all?
Yeah, it's just we're fighting everybody's headcanon. That's impossible to do, you know.
Ooh, headcanon strong, man. You've seen the shipping community, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck. You're fighting a losing battle there. No,
Well, I
faith.
mean,
You'll smash it.
FF7's shipping is a lot.
Oh god, I've started this, haven't I?
No, I'm just saying that it makes a lot more sense because it's so open ended.
Yes.
You know, it's a very so you know like I actually do kind of blame because that's what they want. Like you know when the
You want the
creators, that's what they
conversation
want.
to continue.
The more you're talking
Yeah.
about it, the more
Exactly.
it trends on Twitter.
Yeah, like he could just say no. The OTP is this.
Yeah.
and then be over.
But
It'd be over because the
Never gonna
people who are
say that.
shipping whatever ship they want, they're still gonna keep it, but they're not gonna bitch about it because the main fight is about
Yep.
OTP.
Yep.
The one true pairing. That's the real
And
fight.
we all
'cause-
know that that's claret. Come on.
Oh,
We all know that's
Yeah,
claret.
new pirate day.
yeah, Claret. It's definitely Claret, right? Or Clefairoth, right? If FF7 Remake has proven anything, it's Clefairoth, right?
Yeah, they're going to get steamy at some point in Rebirth, and I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it or not. I think I'm 50-50 on that still at the minute.
Did you not see my channel released a meme like the Sephiroth talking to Tifa thing? I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, I don't. You'll have to link me that. You'll have to link me that, and I'll
Okay,
possibly edit it in at this point. So yeah, you have to send me that.
Do it. You do it. It was our response to the shipping wars.
Oh god.
It's just a pit taking a piss out of people.
I just try and squint at it from a distance, like, oh no.
I know, with binoculars, you're just like.
I'm not going to say my opinion.
What are they doing, honey? I think they're fighting over the thing again. Wait, let me see. Again? Yeah. You know what it is.
That is literally
Isn't that time of year? Yep.
Yep. Did Square Enix do a post?
Is it because E3 dropped again? Yes, honey. That's precisely why.
No, the best one is when it's something really weird, like they've done a promotional tie-in and Aerith's on the cover with Cloud, or they've done a promotional tie-in and Tifa's on it with Cloud. It's like, look, there it is. It's like, bro, the McDonald's packaging is not confirmation of canon. No, it is not. No, it is not. The cup of noodle sachet with Cloud and Tifa on the front of it ain't confirmation. Just everyone stop and just chill and have fun, please. Because that's what it is. Is everyone's just getting stressed out over something that's meant to be fun, and there's just no need in it. No need whatsoever.
You know, it's also. I think it's also fair to recognize that the creators are literally making, like, actually asking for Firestorms,
actively
right?
working towards it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
They knew what they were doing when they got Jesse to invite Cloud in, and neither of the answers were okay. They knew what they were doing. So I got two bad options here. Neither of them are going to lead to me getting laid, but I have to choose one.
That one Jesse fan on Twitter was fuming. Still is.
Yep.
Absolutely.
The less said about that one, the better. Moving on. So I'm just going to ask straight out now. How close are we to 7, Echo S 7? Because I've had quite a few comments on my videos, even random videos recently, like, is that Echo S 7 thing ready yet? And I don't know what to say. I'm kind of sat there like, I'm going to guess you do.
4-year-old videos of a tutorial on how to loop music, and they're like, is Echo S done yet? And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing on this video? It's difficult to say, to be honest.
Are we looking? I'm guessing 2022 out of the question.
Not necessarily.
Not
it's gonna
necessarily.
depend.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what I think is left right now is volume leveling for all the different screens.
Yeah.
That does take a very long time.
Yeah, because you've got to go through the whole thing.
Yeah, not only is the music different volumes on every screen to begin with, because, you know, different tracks, different volume, or whatever, they're not all. And it also depends if you're using the vanilla tracks or.
Yeah, I was going to say, so is this the arranged soundtrack? Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to adjust all the voice levels, the volumes and stuff. There's definitely going to be some NPCs that we aren't happy with and we want to change. I don't actually think to this day, Crane hasn't sat and played through Echo S, and when he does, there's going to be a lot that he's.
Oh yeah, there's going to be the list of Crane. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Going to turn into Chris Jericho with his list.
Yeah. So it's right now, it's just the real nitty gritty stuff, and it's going to depend how willing we are to sit and do that shit.
We are getting into Christmas as well, so everything's going to be busy for people and things like that.
A bit, and yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going to stream. I'm going to stream from this date tomorrow. It's supposed to be on the 3rd or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to stream tomorrow, and because I've been preparing things to do on stream for Echo S 7. Hopefully, I can knock out as much as we want, as much as I can. Because I do want to release it 2022.
Oh.
Like Christmas, I want, because
that would be a nice Christmas present.
Well, it would be a good Christmas present for me and Tsuna.
You guys would be able to sit back and be like, "Oh my god, we did it!
We're done." Yes.
Like release right after Reunion, and everybody's finished playing Reunion would be perfect too.
Ooh, that would be nice timing.
That's what we're planning. Yeah. So, you know, because it would be a good time to release. It would be a good time. That's why I'm also been stressing out about that, because I had to do a lot of recording. I had to do, like, you know, I redid a lot to my lines. Tsuna doesn't even know this. He's finding out about this now.
Oh god. Let's watch this reaction. Zoom in
for the 15th time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So when people say, like, "Oh man, you've recorded like thousands of lines, right?" Because he has like how many thousands of lines? I'm like, yeah, I've done it maybe twice. Maybe. Yeah. So.
I remember doing the train in Midgar and the bar. Oh, that was my crutch. If anyone said to me the worst part about doing Echo S is like the fucking train.
Really?
Oh
Did
yeah.
that like 4 times. I think there was like 200 lines on like.
The first time or the second time?
Oh, both.
Oh, just both, right? Fair.
Every time I've ever had to do the train.
Just the train in general? No.
Yeah, it was
Fair.
awful.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh,
I think Gold Saucer needs some new NPCs as well.
Yeah, it probably does.
Yeah, it does. We have too many NPCs because we did a lot of those NPCs all in like the same span of time. So a lot of them are
Yeah.
the same NPCs. And I have this. My opinion is that the places that should have the best NPCs are the places that you frequent, right?
Yeah.
So if you go through Corel, and
Yeah, it's
like you're gonna go through there once.
yeah, maybe
reality.
twice if you look it.
Yeah. You don't really care that much. But then if you're going through
Gold Saucer, for
what's it,
example.
Gold Saucer, High Wind,
Yeah.
right? Like
Oh yeah,
Chocobo
them
Bar,
High Wind boys. Yeah, you're going to be interacting with them a lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's like they have to be the best. It's nice too because what we did was for the guys in the High Wind, we actually picked the people who did the most lines, the most NPC lines in the game. We put them there, so it's kind of almost like a badge.
The most
of,
experienced. Yeah.
it's a badge of honor.
And plus, I'm going to guess
To
that'll
me.
make it easier to coach them as well because they've already got that base understanding from everything else that you've already done. So you're kind of starting from a higher point already with the High Wind.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of my excuse too to like because they have a lot of NPCs that they voice. So if I do replace
Oh,
lines,
but you're
like,
in the
they're-
High
they're-
Wind. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a like
It's a prestigious spot. It is a prestigious spot.
That's what I think.
You're on the
I
High
think it
Wind
is a
spot.
prestigious-
Yeah, I agree.
You know. So I think we even put them in an FMV, right? Yeah, I think we even
Yeah,
put them in an FMV. Yeah.
At
So
least
I think they're
at
the
least
last.
One of them are anyway.
Yeah, because I think they're the last NPCs you hear before the game ends. So
Oh,
yeah. So
is that when
it's
you're
a-
crashing
it's a-
into the crater?
Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Oh, you
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet? Oh, it's okay. No,
I'll get
you'll
there.
enjoy
I'll
it.
get there. Literally, I am 100% in this run, so I'm going to see every little thing that you guys have done. Like
Got it.
literally,
And then when you go-
I'm going.
When you go to
hard.
Wutai, you gotta call me. You gotta be like, hey, I'm doing Wutai, and I'll
Yeah.
actually like
I'll make sure. I
park my
get it.
ass in that
There's still
chat.
a couple lines missing from the version you have. Like I don't think the Calm Traveler.
No, but the bulk
for
of it's
some
in
reason,
play.
Isn't I know I did his lines at some point, but they ain't there.
Yeah,
The
Weaponsmith.
guy
is
that
not
lived the
there.
Weaponsmith. I think the Zack scene.
Oh, so there's
Zack
very
scene is
few.
not-
Very few.
Yeah.
Once off
And yeah,
areas.
so the Zack scene. You mean like the Zack scene? Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, so
Oh,
that's
you wanted,
optional as well. Yeah.
You wanted invisible text boxes too for that, right? For the cloud yell.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we still have a bunch of stuff because
Yeah.
we're putting like these invisible text boxes so that it's so odd when you have like something's happening, right? And then there's a text box, and the text boxes are obviously voiced, and then the text boxes are gone, and then they're just struggling or doing something really important, but there are no text boxes, so it's just super silent.
Yeah.
You kind of
can only
filled
attach
in
voice
those
lines
gaps a
to
bit.
a text box, so I have to make a text box invisible to attach a line to it,
Oh
so
god.
it can play during that
God.
section.
Right.
And,
Yeah, that makes sense.
If not, it would feel like they're like yelling, "Hey, fuck you too," and then they just go into this like mind battle, you know?
Silent.
All right.
I want to do that in
So-
Wutai actually.
Mhm.
Just for the scene, you know, like when you're going into the pagoda and you talk to people and they'll say like, "Battle change," and then
Yeah.
they shout that, then do their
Yeah.
animation, and then the fight starts. So I want to make the text box invisible and have them shout a line at the same time as their animation instead, and it just flows better.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd
Yeah,
feel
get rid of the
more smooth.
get rid of the actual text box for that, and
It
put
just triggers the audio
one.
anyway in the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be very nice.
Oh, because I put an effect on that because that whole part is like it's an allusion to like the Sentai Rangers kind of thing when they transform.
Yes.
It's like Kamen Rider X. It's like power form, and we even kept it that way too because they're speaking in Japanese, right?
Yeah.
They're like Korewa power of hormones.
Oh, I need
so
it. I need it now. As soon as we finish this, I'm streaming Echo S. No.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I told you, I've like that is the most stressful, but the most fun I've had doing Echo S was Wutai.
Oh, I need to get to Wutai.
Absolutely, it's
I'm
my
just-
absolute fucking favorite.
We've just done Platefall, and we've just gone to Aerith's house, and we saved outside Aerith's house, so I can be done with Midgar in what, like an hour from that point, something like that, hour and a bit. And I've just got a gun. Oh,
See
it'll
if
take
you
me a
get
couple of
special
days.
Aerith line.
Oh, there's a special what? Oh, in the Shimmer building, right?
Yeah. And Rufus's dialogue changes depending on if it's raining at the time too. So
Ooh.
Yeah.
just remember
Yeah.
to turn off the weather when you get to calm.
Oh, is it still?
Yeah.
Right, cool. I think
I haven't fixed it because
I'm going to be
we're
honest, I
getting
think
this
I've
new
got it turned
version,
off.
so-
Because I think I have got it turned off because I remember you saying that there was a point where if it was on at that point, it stayed on forever.
If
I
it's
think-
raining when you get to Junon, it will rain forever.
Right, cool. Yeah, so I turned it off because I couldn't remember exactly where that was.
That will not be in the final release, obviously. I
No,
just
that's
haven't
not a
fixed it
feature.
yet.
That's not a
Like I
feature.
said, we're implementing it into the driver now and taking it out of Echo S. So I haven't bothered fixing Echo S because what's the point? It's a waste of time. So yeah.
1.0 I think would be finished this month. Like that is my goal.
Right, that's it. That's the goal, people.
Yeah, like yeah. So obviously there's going to be like 1.1, 1.2, whatever. Like
You've got
other
the future
patches, but
editions, which is things like the
Yeah.
weather, the time, all that sort of business.
I think the goal for this one, at least at minimum, because we do want to release, I think is just there's no silence.
There's no unvoiced sections, yeah.
Yeah, there's no parts where they are not voiced. Yeah,
Well, that's like your minimum product anyway. That's what you're shooting for. That's the goal. Everything else is embellishments beyond that, and they're all beautiful embellishments. Don't get me wrong, but you know that's the main thing that this mod is. So it makes sense that you'd shoot for that first. And yeah, I'm having fun with it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And people who are asking in the comments, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Straight from the crane's mouth. While Tsuna sits in the background like, fucking this month, are you fucking kidding me?
As far as I can tell, I've done most of my job.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Oh, so it's on Crane anyway then. Oh, no pressure
At
then,
least
Crane.
when I put out the beta and I got my bug reports back, I fixed every bug report that I've been sent.
Nice.
There could still be stuff that they never found. that
Well, we
Crane
had
might
two
have
things that I caused last night, if you remember. The train in the train graveyard.
I don't know how you did that.
That's honestly see the problem with the beta testers is that they're going to find problems, but those problems aren't us. Those problems, a lot of those problems. are just
FF7 problems, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I
because
love it.
FF7 is magical.
Yeah, it's held together with dreams and spit and some sort of adhesive material. No one knows what.
Yeah,
Cat!
Yeah, it's
Yep.
bad.
Cat!
like all these engineering students using duct tape and shit. Yep.
Here's a bonus question. Have you done anything with the guy in the well? You know the hidden red guy in the well in... No, have you not? No. God damn it.
I can't even think of anything that we would.
I know. Make him dance. I don't know. Anything.
He's not actually a movable object. He's just like a still image.
He's part of the
It's a
background, isn't
layer.
he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
I couldn't even do anything with him.
Absolutely weird. Well, the next question could be an interesting one. So, what do you guys think about Ever Crisis? How do you feel about Ever Crisis?
I'm gonna steal all the 3D models.
Yeah. And I am in love with that answer. That's if it comes out at any point, because
style
we've had
move over.
radio silence on that shit now. For when was the last time we even heard anything? June, May, something like that. It's just disappeared. But I knew you were going to answer something like that, because yeah, the one thing that I've been struggling with modding Final Fantasy VII is finding models that I like.
Yeah.
And not just that, a collection where I like all of the models, if you know what I mean. Like the Nino style models, I kind of like the combat models. I'm into them. Not too
I like
keen
the
on the
combat models.
overworld. Yeah, I'm not keen on the overworld models. But if you could get those Ever Crisis models,
I have a pack where it uses the battle models in Field and World, if you want it.
this is an option.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've brought great joy into my heart right now.
I'll send you a link.
Yeah, we'll have a chat. Yeah, we'll have a chat about that. That's amazing. Oh,
I
but yeah.
don't like using field models unless. Okay, I don't like using field models because
Just don't like 'em.
No. If you're gonna get, if I have field models, then every field model should be the same.
Consistent.
Yeah.
It should be consistent. So I care more about consistency
you'll
rather
lose
than
that
anything.
with
Yeah,
the
so I don't want
HD
that.
ones.
Yeah, so I only like them in battle.
Yeah, because it does make sense.
Battle
doesn't it?
dimension is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am tempted to just go back to original blocky boy Cloud in the overworld. It definitely does feel tempting.
Also,
you could always
the
try
field
my
models.
Stature project, but I don't think your graphics card will.
Oh,
My-
that's right, etc.
My biscuits ain't doing nothing. Bless it. I'm surprised it's even allowing this conversation to go ahead. I'm quite impressed. Good PC. It was a good
Yeah,
PC.
I mean, usually it just makes toast, right?
yeah, there'd be smoke coming out of it by now and everything, burnt bread, but yeah, it's doing okay. Doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I've from watching multiple people, like this is the one thing that's always ruined my experience when I'm watching other people use mods, like who are also doing Echo S, is that if you have a field model, it'll fuck up the FMV sequences a lot.
Yeah.
And I absolutely hate that because like I worked
can use
really hard to
emotes.
voice.
There,
you can
there
use
is a
emotes?
Cosmos FMV pack has
Oh.
AI replaced them with either the HD or the chibi ones. There are options, but then
Oh, no,
the only pack. And they're
No,
very difficult.
I meant when the actual polygon models, when the models
Yeah.
actually like are on top of an FMV, like
Yeah.
you know, like when the
Oh, right.
Like when Medial...
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no.
Yeah,
No,
but
not
does
the
have
bit.
one, the wheelchair. And
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Hold on.
No, because that's an FMV, isn't
Tifa
it?
running along the cannon to jump and catch the rope.
Yes, that's
I think
one of
she's
them.
not in the FMV. I think she's overlaid. At least
I
pretty
don't
sure
know, but
she
I know
is.
that like I mean the very first one where like Cloud is there and then he looks up at the Shinra.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
zooms
Shinra
in
thing, like
behind him.
I've seen so many people where their model just literally flies out of the screen, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
No.
That's a 60 FPS problem, actually.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
takes
just like,
off
yeah,
into
he's
the
Advent,
distance.
he's Advent Children Cloud already.
Too many frames just made him take off. Like, woo.
Yeah, the camera
Yeah, so
doesn't
there's-
broke.
I mean, even the one with which part was that? The one where Sephiroth, Cloud, and Tifa are on the bridge and then it falls.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
gets fucked up. That one gets fucked up, and I hate it too because, like I said, I've worked very hard on like
Voicing it, yeah.
doing the voicing on all of that stuff, and it just gets ruined. And I'm like, no, I can't even get a reaction from people because they're reacting to that instead.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Well,
So-
what we're gonna do, whenever Echo S is done, and I have permission from the other modders in the team, we're gonna make just one big mod, Tsunamods, and it's gonna
Yes.
have all of our mods in it. I know they're all
Yes.
compatible, they're all pre-coded to work together,
And it'd just be one pack that you just go, boom.
Yeah.
I'll
Love
be
that.
waiting for that
you
one.
can config it to say I don't want this thing or that thing.
Yeah, you can still go in and turn specific aspects off, but you'd install it all as one pack, essentially.
It will be like a
Yeah, but it
15 to
won't
20
break.
gigabyte mod though.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, that's good. That's worth it. Like,
That's worth it.
do you know what I mean? It's completely worth it. It's only, what, 10 times bigger than the actual game? No, how big's the actual game?
Yeah, it's like 1.2.
Yeah, it's not that big.
Yeah,
Shit, man. So it's like 18 times bigger.
it'd be fun.
That'd be
Yeah.
Yeah,
amazing.
this was supposed to be about Ever Crisis. Honestly, I have nothing I've really got to say about Ever Crisis.
No,
Like,
that's kind of what I wanted from you, that I was going to steal the character models. That's kind of what I was
at
shooting for.
At one point in time, I was thinking, like, I think they announced they're going to release a chapter a month. And I think at one point in time, they said they were going to release, I think it was supposed to be due, like, last Christmas or something, or maybe this.
They were talking, the big talk was that we were going to get a beta in September, and then it'd probably be out
Right.
by now, but
Right. And I was
Nothing.
thinking at the time, I was like, a chapter every month. It's gonna, and my guess then was like, how many months is it gonna take to get to Kate Sith, Sid, characters we don't have in the remake yet? And we also know that in Ever Crisis, when they get into fights, it uses their remake models
Yep.
in the encounters. So I was like, are they going to reveal Sid and or like Kate Sith, Vincent, whoever, in Ever Crisis before they do in the remake? I thought that'd be a very interesting move.
And the other thing as
Interesting
well
move.
is a lot of the trailer footage is either from early stages of FF7 or early stages of Crisis Core, and they're currently releasing Crisis Core Reunion. So are they going to... Yeah, I think Ever Crisis
they'll
has definitely
probably
been
do
pushed.
Midgar,
Yeah.
then do Crisis Core, and then do Rebirth,
Yeah,
and whatever happens after that.
and follow the path. So yeah, it's going to be a long-term project, that. Like, you're going to be waiting quite a while to get everything out of it. It would be nice, though, if you could get the models.
I personally hate the whole like Ever Crisis thing. I'm obviously going to play it, but
everyone's going to check it out.
Every Square, anybody who loves like Final Fantasy, we're all enablers.
Yeah,
right?
we're all going to get it.
And they fucking suck here, like
I fucking hate you, Square, as I download it. Like, fuck you, Square.
Yep. That's precisely how we are, right? It's like they keep smoking crack, and we're just like, hey, you should stop smoking crack, and then gives crack money. I'm gonna give you more money. Please don't buy crack, okay? I'm gonna trust you.
Take the money off me, give me the crack.
Yeah, but no. So with Ever Crisis, I think the thing that annoyed me the most, because I think my opinion about FF7 Remake is not so much that, like, oh, people want it. Like, I'm not against the change or all that kind of stuff. I don't want this to devolve into that kind of conversation. But I do think that one reason why people really were looking forward to FF7 Remake is because we wanted sort of a, what do you call it? An official definitive lore on FF7, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what we were looking for. It's like there are all these different retconned versions and all of this stuff. We just wanted one that we can all
What is the definitive? Yeah.
The definitive one, right? And then the problem here is that you see Remake, right? And from the small clips that we did see of Ever Crisis, even their dialogue is not the same as either the original FF7 or FF7 Remake.
Yep.
So all it does is just muddy the waters on the lore of FF7. So all it's going to be is going to be a quote unquote another version of Final Fantasy VII, and I think that's even more annoying than anything.
It all plays into the alternate reality theories.
See, it scares me that it's going to be like there's going to be a lot of gacha involved in it as well, because then that becomes the main point of it, and it's not. The point isn't Final Fantasy VII. The point is a vehicle to make gacha money, essentially. And
well, I'm not against, like, I think that's one area where like me and Legions, like, we have a
crossover. Yeah.
I know, right? Is the fact that I'm not against gacha games, like, in the slightest. I don't think that gacha mechanics are predatory. I'm really not of that. The games are for the most part free. That's why.
Yeah, like, you can play it without putting money in. Yeah.
And the thing is, if you have to complain that you have to, then you don't have to, because I think a game like what's that, Chocobo GP, the racer game.
Yeah.
That one I think is predatory, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to buy the game, and then on top of that,
pay for a season pass. Yeah.
That's different, right? It's different from buying this, like playing this game for free, and then if you want more content, you can pay. That, I think that's very different. I mean, think about it this way: they put the game out first before any of the money, right? So, it's a big risk. It's just that the market is very good with it now, right? It's the market allows. But I don't think that's going to. I know for a fact that the gacha is not going to affect this.
I hope not.
Like the way that they act the story.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. There's one reason I'm saying this, because I'm not being charitable. I'm saying this because a lot of people are going to make this mistake where they go, "Oh, the reason why the gameplay sucks or the reason why the story sucks is because it's gacha." It's like, no, it's not.
Because
it's because because if the story sucks, the story sucks.
Yeah.
If the gameplay sucks, the gameplay sucks.
It's through the choices they've made. Yeah.
Yeah. The gacha has nothing to do with it. They could have sold this game for $60 and it would have still been bad.
They'd have probably still made the same narrative choices and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and and that's I just want to make sure that people know that that's not the right way to look at this.
Yeah, it's not going to be. The game isn't going to be bad because of the gacha. The game's going to be bad because of the game.
Because of the game, right? If anything, if the game is good, then the gacha will
benefit from
flourish.
it. Yeah, because people will be more willing to put money into it than if you feel that an acceptable job's been done.
Yeah, I think Genshin is a good example of that. Like, has been a good example of that, where the game itself is of an incredible quality. That the gacha is now the reason why people pay so much money on the gacha is because they feel like it's actually a worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, even though I think they're wrong, but the point is, like, what I'm saying is that the game, like, I don't like the idea that they say, oh, gacha games are inherently blah 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 blah, because when the game is good, then they make more gacha money.
Yeah.
So they have more incentive to make the game good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at FIFA. FIFA is essentially the ultimate gacha game, and you can quite like I'm someone who's played a lot of FIFA over the years.
I don't think
and
that goes out of the UK that much, though.
no, I know. So, but I mean, so it's like the equivalent of the NBA, like the EA NBA game or the EA NFL games. The games where you buy packs for players, essentially. You pay money, you get packs, you get players, you win. Like that model is insanely successful, and it is because the game. While people who've played the game a lot might say, "Oh well, this isn't very good this year. This has got worse. I preferred it back then." In general, the gameplay is still of a high enough quality that people will go bam, 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 and get them players.
Problem with FIFA games is it's just the same fucking game every year.
It really is, and yeah, they'll take something away and then they'll gradually add it back in over the course of 3 years, and then they'll take it away again and gradually add it back in over.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. I hate it so much.
I don't think it applies too much outside. Like, I've never come across
It is a very
the
special
shore of
model.
America.
Yeah.
You know?
It is a very special model that EA have got going on, and it is probably one of the more predatory ones, and it is pay to win as well, which is another big thing. Like, as long as the model isn't pay to win and there's no competitive element, I suppose that's fine.
I've definitely found that I'm more willing to spend money on a game that costs me nothing and I enjoyed thoroughly for 100 hours.
Yeah, because you feel like they deserve it at that point. It's like, yeah, you've earned this. You've
I
earned
spent a
this
little bit
money.
on Genshin. I spent a lot on Warzone and
Yeah.
Frame, and you know, it's just. I don't feel bad about it then. I feel like the game has earned my money as opposed to me giving it for beforehand and then deciding whether it was worth.
Yeah, that's it. You've already had that much value out of the game, so you're more than happy to be like, well, yeah, fair enough, actually. Yeah, there you go, sir. Have some money.
The game has been your girlfriend before you decided to marry it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you've tried it. You've gone for a test drive. It's fine. It's fine.
yeah, exactly. you've gotten at least you're in a relationship, and then now you could be like, you know, I'm gonna spend the
Well, I'm
money.
going to double down now. I'm going to double down. She can have some food. I mean, presents.
Yeah. No, well, for us three, it's more like, oh, she can have some of my time now. Okay.
Yeah. No, she's not having that. Please don't hit me if you're watching this video.
But yeah, so I that's the thing that I do worry about Ever Crisis, is that I think what it will do is it'll sort of muddy the water of the lore.
Yeah.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Which is already
I'm really afraid of it.
white modder.
Echo S is official law.
Echo S is official.
No, that's important to mention, because we actually, like, even on the top of this, like when me and Tsuna first, you know, went into this, we want to make FF7 we want to make FF7 our like take on a remake.
Yeah.
You know, and to do that, like, obviously we had to have, this is one of the reasons why, like, I'm really critical of the whole FF7 remake thing, is because, like, we had to, like, me and Tsuna had to sit down and talk about, like, what we wanted to get out of, like, FF7 Echo S. So obviously with FF7 remake, they had to have that same exact conversation and more.
Yeah.
And then they decided to whatever they decided, you know. So for us, it was kind of the same thing. Like, we want this to be that. It was also the
This is
reason
the
why, like,
direction. Yeah.
yeah, and we wanted, like, you remember how, like, Tsuna was saying, like, oh, I want to tie in the audiobooks, I want to do this, because we want this game, we want FF7 to sort of reflect the rest of the lore, you know. So
Rather than
wanted to
feel
see that.
detached from it. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of like,
I also-
even with some of the properties that we're doing, like, outside of Echo S 7, like, even when we're doing, like, I already did a lot of I did Advent Children, I did all of these different things, and because of Echo S 7, I literally want to go back to those, like, and recreate the movie, but with the same voice actors, just so that we're just consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good.
You know, like, that's kind of like what I want to do. I think that's also what I was planning on doing with the Last Order, because we already did Last Order. It already has like 500,000 views on YouTube, and yeah, we dubbed it in English. It was never dubbed in English. Yeah, and I want to redo it because I want to use our Echo S voice
The people
actors,
you've got
and then-
now, yeah.
Yeah, so, you
Have
know,
the
so at least we're
entire
consistent.
FF7 story.
Yeah, so we're gonna be like the official, unofficial FF7.
The official Crane's unofficial read-up of
just-
the
it'd be
official,
nice.
unofficial. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Because I will be releasing episodes of Echo S like a typical YouTube fan dub as well.
Yeah,
And it'd be nice to just have a playlist on YouTube where you could get absolutely everything that's ever happened in the Final Fantasy VII universe, voiced by the same people in good quality.
yeah, that
And
would
just
be
call it a movie
amazing.
night, you know?
Well, it'd be a few nights, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also love the idea that people might walk away after playing Echo S and have learnt stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That'd be a cool feeling.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that have played the original FF7 in its original form, but then just don't really engage with the community beyond that. So they might have their own headcanons still from that original time that's been clarified.
Yeah. We are 100% definitely going to have changed a lot of people's knowledge about Genova when they've played Echo S.
100%.
Absolutely.
It might even be, that was one of the things we were afraid of too, because there are a lot of like, when we were doing a lot of the Genova stuff, because I did a lot of the writing for Genova, right? Like I did a lot of like rewriting and like, you know, effects and all that stuff for Genova.
Yeah.
I tried my best to sit in as many of the content creators, like lore debates or whatever, you know. So I was like listening to Sleep Easy like for hours. I was listening to all these other people talk about like Genova and all of that stuff, because there's like, I even went into a server, remember, was it Cosmo Canyon Observatory?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I even went, because they have their particular, they have also like a particular bent in terms of like where they think the Genova lore is, right? And it's like we had to try our best to form our own, and then see and then move forward with it, because you know a lot of people will hear this and they're going to be like, oh, this is going to be weird, because we do a lot of lore dumps. It's okay if it's okay if I spoil some stuff here, right? Like with Echo S.
It's not the Temple of the Ancients part.
okay, but okay, so here's an example, right? Like one thing we do is that because Cloud is so you know the voice in Cloud's head, right? So a lot of the times we don't know. FF7 remake did it a certain way, but I think I kind of like our way better, where what we did was the voice in Cloud's head, which is supposed to be the real Cloud, is actually we actually made it voiced by Zack.
Yeah.
And then in the
We had to, though.
Yeah.
Spoiler reasons, you can't have Cloud's voice come through at the beginning of the game. You know,
There is
works
an
in text
instant
form,
like, wait a minute.
not in voice form.
Yeah.
We had to retcon that, even though it's incorrect to the law.
Yeah. And then in the flashback, when you go into the flashback, the Shinra grunt that's supposed to be Cloud, we had him voiced by Zack.
So it's the same voice as that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost like in his head it was like a switcheroo.
So you're creating the lore connection yourself there in the game.
So, you know, like that's kind of like how we went about it, and I thought that this would be very interesting for people who don't play the game, who've never played the game before, right? Because they're gonna go like, oh, okay, and then they find out like, oh shit, like that voice we heard earlier, that was actually Zack. Oh, and now it plays a narrative like, oh, so without
it
saying,
reinforces that,
yeah, like they heard that it swapped, and you know, so we're doing a lot of sort of story stuff like that.
I like that. I mean, I've picked up on the fact that it's definitely a Zack voice there in that first cutscene, you know, in the church. But obviously the payoff's much further down the line for me on that. I'm looking forward to that. So this is the thing, I can't wait to get to some of the later areas in the game and just see what you've done with it. Like, you've got me so hyped about Wu-Tai right now. Like, I can't even explain how hyped I am for Wu-Tai.
Streaming tonight.
Oh,
no, I'm telling you, Wu-Tai is
ludicrous.
amazing. Also, it has some of the best parts. It has like the Turks.
Yeah.
It's like Don Corneo. It's got some of the best shit. Like, and the pagoda one, the pagoda is like amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is like absolutely amazing.
So
I worked
hyped.
so fucking hard on that shit. I literally paid a person to actually translate everything. Yeah, out of my own
Back
pocket.
into Japanese.
You know this game
into
that was
Japanese.
roughly translated into English from Japanese back in the day? Fancy fucking it back. Yeah, nice one.
No, okay, so maybe you guys don't know. Maybe Tsuna, maybe you don't even know this. But when I opened the game in, because you know the game has, Mako Reactor has like the options, right? Like Japanese, French, and when we put it back into Japanese, the person who I paid to look at it, she was like, oh, this Japanese sucks. I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah. So okay, so it's not entirely on the heads of the people who translated it in English a long time ago.
It's just badly written in general.
So even in Japanese, a lot of the opinions, so a lot of people, maybe people watching can confirm this, but apparently from the people that I did talk to who are Japanese speakers who played the game a long time ago, they didn't think that the writing was particularly good in Japanese.
Okay.
Interesting.
Every language had that problem.
Well, because it was also the time. Like writing in general, like back then, wasn't like great. Because the thing, okay, so people say like, oh, the writing, the dialogue is good in the FF7 dialogue is good. It's not really good. The dialogue is not good. The narrative is good.
Yeah.
Right. The pacing is good. Like where the story goes, what things
it does
mean.
enough to piece it all together for you as you're going through. Yeah.
Yeah, but the dialogue is not.
Yeah.
Like even with the reunion mod, like the more accurate translation, it's still kind of janky. So yeah, so it's not like, like people, I think we just have to admit, like at the time, it was good for what it was, like at the time, and
Then.
you should be able to appreciate it that way.
Yeah. But if you put it up if you hold it up to a lens of today, you'd be like, what? What are they doing?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, it's like looking at people like 1,000 years ago and be like, man, they're barbaric. It's like, not at the time.
No, at the time they were quite enlightened.
During the time, that was progress.
That was cutting edge at the time. Yeah, which it was, though. This is it. At the time, that was like, we've just been tainted by 25 years more of stuff.
Yeah,
essentially.
I mean, just on the topic of Final Fantasy VII, like back in the day, and like in the 90s, the reason, people were saying, oh, Final Fantasy VII was like revolutionary at the time for 3D, and it's like not really, because there was a lot of games that were 3D, but they were the first ones who did. They were the first ones who did drawn backgrounds,
the pre-rendered backdrops. Yeah.
And then the opposite was, oh, hold on, I gotta hold on, someone.
We'll pause.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stick an ad right there.
Next week on Dragon... I actually will. Next week on Dragon Ball Z. Let's go. We're nearly there now. We've got one more to do.
Yeah.
And there's the wrap-up one as well. Like, what's coming up? What else are you doing? What's the future?
Sorry, that was the blip. You're going to have to edit that part out.
No, it's fine. We're leaving it in.
We stuck an ad there.
Yeah,
Okay,
we slipped an ad in. It's fine.
What was the thing I was saying? Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. They had the pre-rendered background.
That's it. Pre-rendered. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had the pre-rendered
my
background,
brain's
and then
bad.
they had but the thing is, a lot of games at that time, like literally, the norm of the games of that time was that the characters were drawn, and then the background was 3D. Because what they wanted to do is they wanted to do the 3D.
Rotating,
space.
yeah, and if I remember right, a lot of the time the backdrop was black in a lot of instances. It was, you just have nothing there.
Yeah, that was sort of the way that video games were, and FF7 was like unique because of the fact that they used 3D models, like in a space that didn't really like rotate, And what happened with that is that it actually gave kind of like a better feel of the world that way, because we got to see the world, and the world itself was painted well at the time. It was like nice, it was crisp, like you can see like that's a shop, this is this, and it gave like a much greater atmospheric like feel and all of that stuff compared to all the other guns. Like there was like Xenogears that came like shortly after or whatever, right? And in Xenogears it was the character that was like drawn, but then the background was all 3D. But the problem is that the background kind of looks janky, right?
Yeah, it was the same like Breath of Fire as well, if I remember right.
Breath of Fire was the same. Grandia was the same. Like a lot of these games. Legend of Legaia had like worse because it was just like 3D on 3D, and it just everything just looked like a mess, right? Like so
early
that was
PlayStation 3D. Gotta love those days, man.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's like, so we have to kind of like take that into account, that's what it is, so. And the narrative proves to be the best thing about FF7.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
one of the things that I've enjoyed about the existence of FF7 Remake, is that it sort of tested everybody's, like it forced everyone to ask the question of, what is it I really like about FF7, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody really knew, because there was only one FF7. And then when FF7 Remake came, everyone was just like, this doesn't feel like FF7. Wait, what is FF7? And why
Yeah.
do I miss it? And why is this not it? Like, you know?
Why is this not it?
Yeah, no, because it's like, you
Yeah.
know, when it's like the the C.S. Lewis question. It's just like, oh, well, this stick is crooked. Well, how do I know the stick is crooked if I don't know what a straight stick is? Oh, what is a straight stick? You know what I mean? So it's like
Yep.
that, and I think that's kind of cool that we did. To be honest, the fact that FF7 remake exists actually sort of made, I think personally, I don't know how Tsuna feels, but I think this kind of made our job easier.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
Mhm.
I
No,
also
our
like
job
I like the feeling that a lot of people. I've been told so often that Echo S is the remake that they wanted,
Yeah.
and that they're more excited for it than they are
Yeah.
the actual remake.
Well, I mean, this is it. Remake. I think. I mean, everyone who watches the channel, knows my stance on this. It's a sequel, so of course it's not going to feel like the remake that they wanted, because it's not a remake, really. It's the loose play on the term remake, and I quite like it. I'm not going to say I dislike it. I think it's fucking brilliant, and I'm intrigued to see where they go with it 100%. But if you want a pure remake that takes Final Fantasy VII from its base form and turns it into something that is easily consumable by modern standards and enhances it in a lot of ways, you've got Echo S.
Yep.
I mean, if we think of it this way: if we took FF7, this game, right, and then
Yeah.
we sort of like do what New Threat did, but what we did is we fashioned it exactly out of like FF7 remake. It still wouldn't feel the same.
No.
No, no.
It's not the same thing. Like
Yeah.
I do realize that the pacing and everything of the original game really made it what it was.
Yeah.
You know, the slow like when you got to reveals, like they were really important reveals.
Yeah,
And
they were.
you know, in FF7 remake, like they're sort of playing with fire by just juggling these things around, like as like willy, like I wouldn't say willy nilly, but it's
But this is why I
doesn't-
solidly advocate people view it as a sequel. Like, this is why I'm 100%, because it leaves that original intact for you, and you're kind of open to what they're doing about the future.
Yeah.
That's kind of my coping
I'm in the same
mechanism.
mindset. I
That's
think
my
it's-
coping mechanism.
yeah. I even put that in when I did the Advent Children
Oh yeah.
when I remade the Advent Children movie. I don't know if you're aware of this. Are you aware that that we remade the Advent Children movie?
Pretty sure
Really
it's
good.
come up before.
Really good.
Yeah, you should watch it. You should
I'm pretty
watch
sure it has
It's-
come up before in conversation.
Yeah, you should you should actually watch it. First of all, I changed all of the dialogue so that they actually fit the Japanese lip flaps. It's amazing. Secondly, you know, obviously updated lore added into it, and even in the trailer, I put the prequel to Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah.
Good
So,
man. Good man.
you know.
Good man. Good
Yes,
man.
I know. You'd be very happy with that. You'd be very happy with that. So
Oh,
yeah,
I
no,
love
that's definitely a thing. But no, I'm glad that FF7 remake came
Yeah.
out, because that
I
became
like it.
a good way for it. It became good for Echo S.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
because it
think
left a
originally
lot of
when we
people
started the project-
wanting. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
a
when
lot of
we
new
when
players played the original after the remake too.
yeah,
And a lot of them have used mods. So.
Yep.
I think I remember way back when, because Tsuna, when you started the project, FF7 remake wasn't a thing.
No.
And that I remember there
Oh,
was a
yeah?
point in time where you were just like upset because you're just like, oh man, the remake came out like before my mod did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's been positive for us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got a
turned
lot
out
of people
that way.
comparing us now, but
Yeah.
whatever.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I love it. No, I'm a big fan, and yeah, this is it. It has in a way created a market, or expanded the market for people who want a remake, because you'll get a lot of people who didn't realize they wanted a remake. Then they heard about remake and they're like, oh shit, a remake, yeah. And then they didn't get a remake. Sorry, Square, it's a sequel. But yeah, they didn't get that remake, so now they're still kind of sat there like, well, where's my remake, bro? I need a remake, and
Yeah.
this brings them to you guys.
I think it would have been better if there was just a, like, you know, like what they did with Tomb Raider, right? Like where they just rebooted
Like a
it.
reboot, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would just have been better if they just rebooted it. Like just considered it a reboot. Like just
See, this is what I
Right?
mean. I think there's, yeah, I think we'll find out why they didn't do that in Rebirth. Personally, there'll be something. Sephiroth, he needs to sort his head out. That kid, he's got a lot of issues. He's got a lot of issues, man. He needs to have, someone needs to get hold of him and have a word with him. Like, oi, son, behave.
I just hope they're not doing this whole like Maleficent thing, you know what Disney's doing, where they're just trying to like, oh, Maleficent was really a good person. She's just misunderstood. Now we're trying to make her a good person again.
Yeah,
that sort of thing with Sephiroth.
I would kind of hate a redemption arc. I'm 100% for making him relatable and understanding who he was and like feeling bad for him a little bit, but don't redeem him. Never redeem him.
That's the reason why I had Crisis Core.
Yeah, exactly. Never redeem him. Because if you redeem him, it then becomes like, what? We're just going to fight Jenova? Okay.
Yeah, no, that's why. There's a lot of people who are on that camp where they're just like, oh, it's actually Jenova. And I'm just like, yeah, but that sort of takes away from Sephiroth. It's like, yeah, it's like, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm really not a big fan of that theory.
Yeah. I'm definitely in the camp.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how is Jenova pulling all the strings when Jenova is essentially a clump of genetic material at this point? Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. There's a lot about Jenova that's left up in the air, though. And this is one of the good things about Final Fantasy VII in a lot of ways. They did kind of leave you that room to kind of speculate and come to your own conclusions about things. And yes, it's caused problems later down the line in a lot of ways. But at the time, just as like a singular thing that you were experiencing yourself, it was, I was a big fan of it.
Yeah, but see, that's again, I revert back to my problem that I said earlier. It's like, yeah, we've spent years like determining, trying to find out what this is, and the remake was supposed to be that for us. It's like, oh, is the remake going to clear this up for us? It's like, no. Okay.
Made it crazier. Let's go.
Yeah, no, they just made it crazier. It's just like, yeah, you know, and then now time travel doesn't exist in the live stream. It's like, okay.
So I had a little interesting thought the other day when I was doing a video. I can't remember which video. I think it was like what to expect for Crisis Core. And like, there's been this kind of how, if this is a Sephiroth that's kind of yeeted himself back in time or sent his consciousness back in time, like how? What's the mechanic behind that? Like, is the live stream existent at all points in time, or is there some other mechanic behind it? And I was thinking maybe it's something to do with when he first goes into the live stream. So, you know, when Cloud defeats him, he goes into the live stream at the Mako reactor. Maybe there's some sort of marker that's created there when he enters the live stream with his Jenova changed DNA.
You just use the time materia.
Yeah, if you master it and then level it up one more from there, you get reverse. And that's it, you're good. You're good.
Paste slow and rewind.
The VHS materia. Yes.
That's actually what it's going to be, right? It's like the third game is going to be Final Fantasy VII Rewind. Right?
But see, I was down for it being Reunion, but that ain't going to happen now.
Well, you know.
Because they did an interview recently as well where they said that Reunion was down as one of the titles for the 3, but they felt that it didn't fit with the theme that they were going for, which is wild to me. Reunion doesn't fit. Like, what? Really?
Why does Reunion not fit?
Exactly. Okay. Rebirth fit better. I think they maybe meant. I think maybe he meant for part 2 specifically. I don't know if he means for part 3. And if that extends to part 3. But it was an interview with a Korean magazine that they did about a week ago, something like that, where they were speaking about Crisis Core Reunion, and they do touch on Final Fantasy VII a little bit. I'll send you the link in a bit. I've got it on Twitter. I keep meaning to do a video on it.
I don't trust them anymore when they come to.
Oh yeah, they say just
they
whatever.
Obviously muddy the water.
Yeah,
they muddy the water so hard. So
they're actually quite good at it as well, which is, you know, it's upsetting to give them credit for it, but you know, they do an all right job of it. They confused the fuck out of everyone.
Wow, amazing. I'm being sarcastic.
No, it's true.
To this day, I respect like Yoko Taro. You know, when he says something, it's usually like he means it. And even if his team doesn't mean it, he will mean it. Does it make sense? When he says, "Oh, this is connected," the team is like, "It is," and Yoko is like, "Well, because I said it, it will be." Like, does that make sense? Like, I have to be telling the truth all the time. It doesn't matter if it's not real; it will be.
Is it true? It is now.
It is now. Yeah. No, that's, you know what? Honestly, I've really learned to respect that. I truly have. I think FF7 Remake has made me really respect that.
Yeah.
So
Just that straightforward, just like bam, there you go.
yeah, I want it that way. Yep, it's happening. I was like,
Done.
oh shit. Okay.
Oh, we did it. Shit.
Yeah. Where the whole team is like, we are? I guess we are.
And
Start
so
working on it already. It's like, oh fuck, Yoko said this. Start changing the code, people. Script,
Crunch was born.
Script writers, did you hear that? Yeah, no, it's canon now. Yeah, go back and change that shit. It needs to be changed before he gets here and we have our meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this. Speaking of meetings, it's so funny because me and Tsuna actually haven't. Like, we've been working really hard, but we haven't had like actual like sit down. in a while.
Yeah, this is the meeting for this month, I think.
Pretty much, yeah. This is the first time we were actually like on camera and stuff with each other.
Well, I'm glad I could facilitate. I love that.
Yeah, you are. You're so good at this.
I do good things occasionally. Well, we've got one more question left, and that is, what's next? Like, we're kind of nearing completion of like the initial release of Echo S VII. You know, we're reaching that stage now. You've obviously got the embellishments that you are going to do to Echo S VII going forwards. I've heard something about Echo S 8 and 9. I've heard little rumblings about that. Obviously you want to talk about that a little bit. But what else as well? Like, what other things have you got going on beyond that? Squeaky
So
chair.
yeah, naturally, Echo S 8 and 9 are going to be our next two projects. They'll be worked on simultaneously. There's even rumors that it's going to be a race.
Oh yeah.
Prison wants to beat me coding 9 and he's coding 8. So we'll see
Nice.
how all that
Love
goes.
that.
After that, there's nothing set for certain. We have a project or two that we've been asked to consider, and some that are maybe underway when it comes to the possibility of it even being possible.
Yeah.
Because for us to do our thing, the underlying technology has to exist for us to be able to hook into it and attach voice lines.
Yeah, there's got to be a certain architecture there that you can then work with. Right.
Yeah. We were definitely considering FF5, FF6, like if they can be done. As of right now, we don't know if it's even possible.
I'd be here for that. Oh my God.
It's possible, but I don't know if it's probable.
If they're made on Unity, then it's definitely doable, because 9 is Unity and 9 is doable, and Martin knows how to code all that stuff.
I suppose it comes down to demand as well. I think that's something that you probably have to factor in. Would there be the demand for it? I think with 6 potentially.
I don't think we would care.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
would.
Crane's like, time's money, bitch.
Yeah, because this should consume, like, it's your job, but like this is not like this.
I guess
me.
so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, like it's a bit of a stretch, and not just that. Like we're working on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we're doing King of Fighters. That one's
Yes.
yeah, that one's pretty big. And my decision to do that one is actually based on the fact that I do think King of Fighters 15 is sort of going to be like a benchmark in the King of Fighters like franchise.
Yeah.
So when King of Fighters, first of all, I think it's going to be years until we get like a King of Fighters like 16.
Yeah.
And I still think this is sort of like the definitive one.
Yeah, so 16 will be looked at, is it as good as 15?
Yeah, because that kind of makes, if you think about it, that kind of makes the decision to make 7, 8, and 9 like it's a sort of an easy decision.
It's a given,
right? Because
yeah.
People will always be playing it.
100%.
Right?
Agreed.
People will always, like, even people who are just like, oh yeah, 8 sucks. Like, people will always be playing 8.
Fucking idiots. 8 is one of the...
I know.
They piss me off, man. They piss me off. 8, I love 8.
I love 8 too.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I think I think 8 is actually a place where mods can actually improve the game.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Yeah, because I think that FF7. Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. Well, FF7 actually is like whatever you do to it only just enhances it.
Yeah. It's
Right?
already going to be held in reverence. Yeah.
It's really good, and I do feel the same way about 9, right? Like, you can change maybe something, I don't know, but I think 8, like if modders really had a field day with 8, then all of a sudden 8 is like better than anything, like can become better, like one of the best RPGs. Like if people really fucked with it. First of all, you already know it has hope because it has triple triad. There's nothing better than triple triad. So Like even people who absolutely hate 8
Love Triple
are just
Triad.
oh the only
Yeah.
I
only
think-
thing good about it is Triple Triad.
Yep.
I think Triple Triad was a better game than FF8 was.
Oh, I mean, you're not entirely wrong, but I hate you at the same time. No, I love 8. You've
I
hurt
love
me.
Disc
Yeah.
1.
I loved it.
The way I've
What,
always
before he
told
dies?
everyone.
Before Squall dies?
The way I've always told everyone was that, for me, it felt like they had a writer creating Disc 1, did a great job,
Shot
and then
him.
for some reason got fired.
Yeah.
They hired a new writer to do Disc 2 and Disc 3, and is there a 4?
Oh, yeah, there's 4.
Yes,
Yeah.
for-
Time
Four.
compression.
But
bitch.
this new writer wasn't told anything that happened in Disc 1. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
I think they should-
I think people misunderstand 8 a lot. This is the
Yeah.
one of the reasons why like I want to take on 8 because
Yeah.
like what we're doing with 7 is like great and all, like because people are like it's like what you said, like people are gonna come into the game, they're gonna be like, oh man, I didn't even realize any of this stuff until Echo S, right? And but all it does is sort of improve
Enhance. Yeah.
like they're standing on FF7 already. But I think if we do this with 8 and we make people realize a lot of stuff about 8, they're gonna be like, oh shit, I completely
Missed that.
misread
yeah.
8. You know, at least story-wise, because I don't think that there's much wrong about the story for 8. Like, to be honest, like it's, you know, and I'm very critical about
It
the
just
story.
needs. It definitely needed. There are certain points where it takes a big switch, and if you're not tuned into it and you can follow along with it, that's it. The game just kind of stops at that point for you, essentially. Like, why has that just happened? I never had an issue with it, but I know a lot of people who were just like, yeah, I reached certain points in the game, and I was just like, what? What's just gone on? What has happened? I'm turning this off.
Yeah. Well, 8 is definitely a game where context, like small bits of
Yep.
context, if it disappears, like a lot of like future context disappears.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of that context is hidden in small stuff. So it's almost like they tried to be a little too sophisticated with their like dialogue. And you can tell that too. Like you can tell that 8 is written completely different from 7 and 9.
Yep.
Yeah, they're written completely different from 7 and 9. But anyway, sorry, going back to the point. The reason why like doing FF7, 8, and 9 it's a good idea to do it. Like we don't even need to think about like the logistics of it. We don't need to think about the people play because it's a staple.
Yeah.
It's a classic. People will play this forever. Even if a remake comes out, people will still play it.
Yeah. Maybe even
But-
more so.
Yeah, but then I think it's going to be a little bit different when we talk about other games.
Like
Right? Because
6.
here's the thing: is that when one of the projects, I'm not going to spill the beans, but one of the projects that Tsuna was approached for to do, like another Echo S, his first comment to me was, "What is that game?" I was like,
Yeah.
and that in and of itself is not a like. If we're gonna put so much fucking effort into this,
Yeah, hundreds and
Because I
hundreds and
will.
hundreds of hours. Yeah.
yeah, because you cannot tell me to not put effort into something, because I will put effort into.
Yeah, if you're going to do it,
We're doing it.
do it.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna do it 100%,
exactly.
Yeah. And I would hate it if we do it and then nobody plays it. Because nobody will play the game.
Yeah.
Or if the game is bad. That's why I told you I love King of Fighters. I love King of Fighters. But when King of Fighters 15 came out, I'm just like, this is the game that everyone is going to play. So we need to dub this one.
Yeah.
It has to be this one, you know, because we want to get some mileage out of it. We want to get some mileage off of what we're doing.
I suppose if you think about it like that, I mean, 6 would probably potentially be worth doing, because 6 is kind of held up there in the same degree
Yeah.
of reverence as 7 and 9. But once you go lower than 6, and I love FF5, like FF5 is one of my favorite in the franchise.
No, FF5 is like a sleeper.
It's
like a
so
sleeper
good.
OP.
It is so good, but in general, people don't really go back and play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a,
Anyway,
it's a
anything below
different vibe.
7 doesn't get as much love.
Yeah, even 6, even 6 doesn't. It's critically acclaimed at the same level as like 7 and 9, but people tend not to. You don't see that many people streaming it, do you? Which is, a shame.
I mean, what are? I definitely want a voice a tactics game. So maybe FF Tactics or something like that. I definitely like. No, something that's story driven. Like,
Yeah, tactics would be nice.
something story driven would be really, really, really nice. I do want to do some sort of newer titles too that never got dubbed in English. That King of Fighters is our most recent game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because when did that come out? Like,
A year ago.
yeah, it's like brand
No, it
new
came out a year
essentially. Yeah.
The other one that we've got in secret right now, though, that one will blow the fuck up.
Oh yeah. If we do, if it goes through, yeah.
Oh, we'll have to.
We have to see if
Tell me
we
that
have to
off
see if the
camera.
technology allows. I'll tell. Yeah, well,
They're
maybe,
talking about it every day.
Yeah, because
Conversations
that
are
would
going.
be huge. Yeah, because right now, even like I don't know soon if you got this because last night somebody emailed me
Right.
saying that Sonic Adventure is moddable.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know much about Sonic, but apparently when I spoke to my people on the server, a lot of them were just like, "Oh my God, Sonic, that's legendary." I'm just like, "Is it? Is it really legendary? 'Cause if it is, because if it is, then you know,
Maybe we
But-
do this.
yeah,
There won't be that many characters in it either.
Huh?
yeah." So yeah, we're not gonna have like problems really with NPCs and all that stuff. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, fighting games, I feel like if we can get in a good rhythm, we can do a lot of fighting games.
Yeah, because there wouldn't be the same kind of density of lines that you've got in, say, Final Fantasy or any
And
other
it's
similar
literally
game.
about, and it's cool because it'll literally be about quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really hone in on it then, because
Mhm.
you've not got that many to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I made a mistake with King of Fighters too, because King of Fighters is actually notoriously known for having so many fucking characters. Like out of every franchise, that one's
You went for the
'cause
one with
King
the
of-
most, yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially the Smash Brothers before Smash Brothers existed.
Oh,
So
God.
yeah,
Fun times.
it's
I'll be
pretty-
honest, I've
it's
not
pretty-
played it, but like I've seen you posting about it a lot. I've seen a lot of chatter from you about it. It does make me tempted to, I'm going to grab this and see what it's like.
Yeah, well, because amongst the fighting games, it's the one that has like the biggest story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
they make-
actually a
they-
narrative going on.
Yeah, they design characters based on that. So it's like, for example, there's this character who's super duper duper popular, but in the story, he like retires.
Yeah.
And the whole community's like, no, we don't get to play him anymore. And then they were just like, yes, because his story is done. And I'm just like, wow, they're really
Sticking
dedicated
with
to the
it,
story.
yeah.
They're really dead. They really like when people say, no, we want to play him, we will give you money. They're like, no,
No, he's done.
the story.
No,
Yeah.
I can 100% appreciate that. That's fucking brilliant.
That's what
10
I
out of
think
10. 10 out of 10. Because it would be so easy for him to go, yeah, go on then. And just
Yeah.
rake in that money for a DLC character.
That's what I think is going on with like a lot of the FF7 remake stuff. Is just I feel like they're just trying to make more Sephiroth content because people really like Sephiroth. That's kind of like how I feel about it.
I do like Sephiroth. I'm not going to lie. I am a fan of Sephiroth.
Yeah. So, but yeah. With the projects, we are expanding to things that are just not just RPGs. So that's
Which
fun.
is good. Which is good. Yeah, because you
This will be
can...
our first official one where we branch out a little bit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And others in the pipeline as well, I believe. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Busy
bit.
times? What are you going to be doing? When are we going to make this actual original game? Like, when are we going to get time to do that?
We'll talk about this some other time.
That's
We'll
a
talk
good
about
question. That was a
we will
good
talk
question.
about that some other time.
Is that another podcast? Yeah, that's a different podcast.
That would be yes.
Right,
Maybe
cool.
a year from now, you'll see. We'll sit down and talk about that.
Interesting times.
Yes.
Interesting times. Well, I mean, that's the 7 questions. So that was pretty painless, wasn't it? How many hours did we do? Let's have a quick look. I said an hour and a half. We're on 3 hours and 21 minutes.
We started yesterday.
Fuck my life. Technically, yeah, we did start yesterday. It is gone midnight now. Yeah. This is how it always goes down. This is why you can never trust me when I say, A, I'm going to be there at a time, or B, it's going to take this long to do. Just disregard any of those numbers that I give you anytime we're interacting. Like, Tsuna knows that already.
Yeah, it's good fun.
I mean, no, I actually did have fun with this. Like, this is the longest I've gone without working.
Well, that's
So
what we
thank
shoot
you.
for. We shoot for the nice chilled vibe, nice relaxing time. Try and separate you from your troubles while talking about your troubles at the same time. It's been
Oh, yeah,
good.
it's
See, it's-
cathartic.
It's officially been dubbed Echo Stress now.
Echo
instead.
stress. Echo stress.
That's
There
a
we
good one.
go. There we go.
I'm gonna keep using that. Echo stress.
No, so yeah, thank you both of you for coming. I will make sure that all of the links are down in the description below so that you can find Tsuna, you can find the official Crane and not the unofficial one. You don't want that guy. Yeah, all the links will be there. I'll pop a link to the Discord, because that is the place where you can get the most up-to-date information about what's going on with any of the Echo S projects. I believe the Discord, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll make sure we've got a link to that down there, so check that out. Yeah, leave a like on the video, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, tell me what you think, shout at me if I've been shit. You know how it is. If you want to shout at Crane's used to being shouted at. Don't shout at Tsuna though, I'll come for you. But yeah.
Wait, are you inviting them to shout at me?
Yeah, it's worth it. It's fun. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. But is there anything else that you guys want to say before we wrap this up?
I think we went through just about everything.
Have we covered it all? Did I hit all the points? Did we nail everything?
So, yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about 8 for a moment.
Let's go. No, do it. I'm fucking down. I will talk about 8.
No, thank
next
you guys.
week.
Pretty much, thank you guys so much for well, thank you for having like me and Tsuna.
Oh,
This is a lot of fun.
It's a pleasure every time.
And I like these because we get to talk about things that people don't see or things that people don't realize, I guess. So this is nice.
Oh, well, we'll definitely be doing more. I mean, what? You've got Echo S 8, Echo S 9, additional projects, the game that we're all making. You know what I mean? There's going to be so many opportunities for us to have podcasts. I love your reaction to that, Crane, every time. I'm going to keep saying it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone. It has been a pleasure. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace out. Have a great day.